Okay.
Sure wish Matt would hurry up and get here. It's gonna be a long night, son.
Matt just pointed to us and said that we're live.
Nice. And you're late.
Come on, Matthew. If he trips, I'm going to laugh. All right.
Hola.
What up?
Holla.
What up? Olaf?
What up?
Oh, Olaf.
Olaf?
Olaf.
There's that dude from Frozen, right?
You want to know how many times my kids have watched Frozen 1 and 2?
Probably as many times as I've watched The Goonies.
A lot.
A lot.
I saw the Goonies for the first time the other day.
Did you? I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. You know, classic movies like that, right? Like kind of where we were the other day. A Christmas Story. You know how?
Solid.
Okay. You know how they have the 24-hour deal, like every Christmas since I can't remember? Rhonda had never seen it. And I quote lots of quotables out of that movie, right? She watched it for the first time probably 5-6 years ago, straight through, front to back. She's like, great, did it, never have to do that again. I was like, you didn't love that movie?
That's
She's
hilarious.
like, that movie was dumb.
That's hilarious.
I'm never going to get to see it ever again for Christmas.
How many times have you seen The Christmas Story?
1 year, I seriously watched it for 18 straight hours.
Did you watch the marathon? We do every year.
Yes. My dad got to the point and he was like, isn't there anything else on TV? I was like, as far as I'm concerned, no.
The answer is no.
He's like, haven't you seen this enough times that you could probably narrate the movie? I was like, yes, do you want me to?
Mute.
Yes. Oh, it's awesome.
Oh, another fun fact. I've never seen Frozen before either.
Me either. Yeah.
Ever. Not one, not two. Never.
Okay, so for you to watch Frozen, you have to have a 1 to 8-year-old kid or younger. Otherwise, you really can't watch it. I mean, you can, but
True that.
it's for maximum effect. You have to watch it with
Gotta
a
watch
child,
the whole. Yeah. True that.
and then the child will want to watch it again and again and again and again and again and again.
It's kind of like my buddy with Cars, where all he kept doing was screaming, McQueen, McQueen. And I'm like,
I like Cars.
I'm like, who's
the first
McQueen?
one.
After the first run through, I understood who McQueen was, and Tow Mater. By the fourth run through, I'm like, yo, dude, the DVD player's broken. That kid had a meltdown. 10 minutes later, you know what happened? We put it on for the 5th time.
Hilarious.
All y'all with kids that watch the same movie till you just have mush for. I applaud you.
So Matt, how was your week? It's been. How was your? Okay, let me rephrase that. How was your Labor Day weekend?
My Labor Day weekend was phenomenal. I spent a Friday. I don't remember what I did Friday.
Your Labor Day weekend, I'll just fill
Started
it in for
out
you.
so good. I thought we were gonna get like a good
It
story.
was filled with labor.
I remember. Yeah, that's what it was. So Friday, we started moving to the new church, and obviously we'll touch on that topic a little bit later this evening. Saturday was actually just a long day where I didn't do a whole lot. I just kind of stayed around the house. It was a weird day for me. Sunday was church in the morning, and then I had some family over from Denell and Ocala area. Got to celebrate my cousin's 18th birthday, so that was a blast. And then Monday, Labor Day, was filled with a lot of labor. It was about a 12-hour day with Mark over there, and we just moved a bunch of stuff from here to the other location.
Your truck looked pretty labored too.
For a day where you're supposed to like not do any labor, like that's the idea of it, is like go to the beach. So for a day that you're not supposed to do any labor, me and you both did a lot. I don't know about you, but me and you, I know, did a lot of labor separately.
All I saw was you with a picture from your couch with the switch in your hand. That's not
That was
labor.
wait a
after the labor was done.
That was still at like 6 p.m. You could have came to the new location.
I could have.
Nah.
But-
The only pics, or it didn't happen, the only pic I saw was you from the comfort of your couch.
You
with
didn't
a
see our
sign.
new
Oh,
garage,
man.
our cleaned up garage?
You know, honestly, yes, I did see Becca's post on that. That was awesome. That's super organized.
My mother-in-law had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
But I was there. I was present.
That's hilarious.
I helped out.
That's hilarious.
All right, Rob, how was your Labor Day weekend?
By helping out, does that mean you poked your head out the garage door and you're like, oh,
Hey, you need
guys
water?
got this covered?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, yep. I'm still watching the kids. Oh, that looks really good. Yes, very good.
You sure that's where you want to put that? Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. You guys do your thing. You got this covered. Bye-bye.
That's hilarious.
Be
Real
inside.
quick, going back to a labored car. Man, when we loaded those chairs on there, we started going up Highway 27. I don't know if you saw the message in Discord, but I was like
saw.
second gear, third gear, pinned to the floor, just crawling up there. I mean, I was probably like a solid 1,000 pounds over my weight limit on that.
That TDI swap that you were talking about at dinner the other day, that would have never handled it.
Do you have a line of cars behind you? That would be stressful.
Yeah, a decent amount. I was about to pull over and put it in 4 low just to make it up an asphalt hill with that trailer. That was so bad. And then all those twisty turnies to Claremont and those hills.
Yeah.
Oh, second gear the whole time.
You know, you don't think a whole lot of chairs weighs a ton
But they do.
until you start stacking them 5 high and there's 4 rows across and it's 8 rows deep.
Yeah, we had about 90 chairs on there, and yeah, I saw my temperature gauge rising and I saw my gas gauge dropping.
Nice.
What'd you do this weekend, Rob?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I didn't do anything anywhere near as stressful as you guys, and so I don't want to brag, so I'm just going to be like, next topic, please. So, I was somewhere between Josh playing Switch on the couch and you basically having lots of free labor on a day where people are supposed to take the day off. So I kind of fell somewhere in between. Yeah.
Right on.
Awesome.
So this is our last podcast episode in this building.
This is our last podcast, like live, the 3 of us sitting at a table for a minute.
It'll still be live.
Oh, yeah, but like.
But we won't be sitting
talk-
at a
with
table
hands-
together
with
with
talking
microphones.
heads.
We'll
Yeah.
be on Zoom, some other thing, broadcasting.
Digitized. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So I woke up today. I'm wearing my Legend of Zelda hat today
Cool Zelda hat.
because I woke up today to an announcement. An exciting
Zelda's the green guy, right?
Go away. There is a new Legend of Zelda game coming out in November. It's called Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, and there it is, right on.
Very cool.
Good artwork.
Yeah, good
I
artwork.
like a game that has good artwork. If it's got boring artwork,
If it's
I'm
got
not
a boring
into it.
cover, yeah, no.
I kind of lose interest.
Yep. Same.
I like a lot of color, a good idea of what's going on.
I like a good representation of the main characters on the cover.
Yeah.
Yep. All
Now,
of them.
It's easy for me because I'm so familiar with the sequel or the other game, but this game is a prequel to Breath of the Wild, which came out a few years ago. One of my, I would say it's very close to being my all-time favorite game. I don't know if it is, but it's in my top 3 for sure. Top 3 all time, Breath of the Wild, and I'm super excited. This isn't an exact. They're working on 2 games, so they actually are working on a sequel to Breath of the Wild, like a true Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever they end up calling it. That's not what this is. This is like a, hey, we're still working on this, and it's going to be a while, but we made this for you in the meantime. And instead of it being like a crappy, like, you can tell they phoned it in type game, like, here you go, like, stop bothering us for like 2 years while we work on this other game, this actually looks pretty good.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like enough for it to hold you over until they get the real sequel
It's an
ready.
appetizer.
It is. And this tells the story, because like the whole time in Breath of the Wild, you're trying to understand like how it got that way and what caused everything, and that's what this is going to do, is tell you that backstory. So I'm excited about that. There's also, while we're on the subject of Switch, they also had the Mario 35th anniversary announcements last week. I can tell you're so excited.
Hey.
Matt
look,
looks about as excited about this as you are when we talk about cars.
I mean, I find this very interesting. It's very cool. I like seeing what things other people are passionate about.
All right, so cool. Mario 35th anniversary.
Uh-huh.
They announced a bunch of stuff. Me and you were talking about
This
in
is
the car.
this is cool, dude. I dug this.
All right, so you got Mario 3D All Stars, which is going to have three older Mario 3D games. It's going to have Super Mario 64,
Gotcha.
Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario. I can't look at him. I can tell he's like just.
He's like, uh-huh.
Super Mario 64.
It's just I don't know it, so
I know.
I'm learning it
I'm
as we
following
go.
you. I'm with you.
I'm excited because you're excited.
Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy. Those are 3 games that came out on older systems. They're packaging them into one thing, and it comes out like next week. So that's cool. I'm sure you know what Mario Kart is. Okay, so they announced a new Mario Kart game.
This is cool.
This is pretty cool.
This is super cool.
Instead of it being like a traditional, like you just play the game and it's blah, 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 you're playing the game, it comes with toy cars that have cameras on them. You know where I'm going? You can see where I'm going with this.
A little bit.
Okay. Comes with toy cars that have cameras, like augmented reality, AR
Right.
cameras, and it comes with like track pieces that you build wherever you want to, in your house, here at the church, on the drum set, on this
No way.
table.
And you like make your own tracks.
You make your own tracks, and then the car is remote control with your Switch, but it's like you're playing actual Mario Kart, and you can collect items like Koopa shells, throw them at the other cars.
No way.
While the car is driving around your custom-made
Yeah.
track. Super cool.
That's really cool.
It
Man,
has
that's
like,
like making little engineers or something.
Yeah, so it has like these little checkpoint things, like, that you set up. Like you set one there, set one there, set one there, and then it shows you on your Switch. You just draw out what you want the track to be. You can make
That's
it
so
anything.
cool.
You can just make it a figure 8 or whatever you want it to be, and then you just do the track like that.
Wow.
Super cool.
I thought that was super cool. It's
Super cool.
basically taking a game that most people are familiar with and love, and it's awesome, and you can play it for 20 minutes or 20 hours, and adding something super neat to it.
Absolutely. And it like sparks a thing of like innovation to kids, and like who knows, like the next Albert Einstein may come out of that for like building bridges or something.
Exactly. That's what I like about Nintendo, is that they're not the same as Xbox and Sony. They don't have the most powerful console. They don't get all the same games as the other two. But what I like about Nintendo is they're always trying new things. They're always innovating. Like Zelda Breath of the Wild, completely different Zelda game than any other one that's ever come out. This new Mario Kart game, completely different. It's the same thing, but it changes the formula.
It's
and changes
elevated.
the game.
No, it's elevated. It's awesome. They didn't
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
dust it off and change a couple things and like, let's slap a new name on it.
They
Off
could
we go.
have.
They could have.
They could have.
And people still would have ate it up. I'd have
People
ate it
still would
up.
have bought it.
But they added something cool.
They did Mario Maker, where you can make your own Mario levels.
Dude,
and
I thought
share
that
them.
was cool. I thought that was cool when you told me about that the
Yeah,
other
that's
night
pretty
too.
cool. They have a
That's
Mario game
solid.
where you make your own levels, and like it gives you all the things,
All the sprites
all
and
the
stuff.
sprites
Oh,
and the
that's sick.
things that are on there.
Right. Come on.
Are you not being for real? You're being jokey?
No, I'm being serious.
Oh.
But Josh is just
can't
laughing at
tell.
me because he
I
knows
can't
I doesn't.
tell.
I thought he was
don't play
being
many
for real, and then
Nintendo
you
games.
started
can't
laughing
tell.
like he was kidding around.
I can't tell because he's like, yeah, that's sick.
That's cool,
That's
man. Make
awesome,
your own
dude.
maps and levels with all the normal sprites from the entire Mario universe. I just think of the sadistic dude that's out there to be like, that's the thing I hate, that's the thing I hate, and make a whole
People
level
do
of
that.
nothing but that.
People make levels that you don't even have to move in.
Huh?
It's all right. So people make levels. I wish I had my Switch. I'd show you. They make levels to where it'll say like it tells you it tells you like a little snippet before you start, and it'll say hold Y and hold the right button, the run button or whatever.
Okay.
And as long as you do that, it has all these crazy things. And as long as you hold the run button the whole time and don't let go, Mario will make it to the end. And he goes through all these like crazy like things that would kill him or fall into a pit or something and miss the platform or whatever. But as long as you don't let go, it's like an automatic level. And the time it takes to do something like that, I have to imagine.
Time
Astronomical.
and
To time it to
synchronize.
where everything is synchronized that way. And I mean, they get crazy with it too. Like long levels that you'll be running for like 30 or 45 seconds straight. And just
That's
going
cool,
through.
though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I
And
like
if you-
the games like where you can work on it yourself.
Yeah, that's what it kind
'cause,
of
like,
is.
I always get caught up playing like single player games, and I just can't get past levels. Like
Yeah.
I like a solid first person shooter, and like Battlefield 2, or like what else is there? Like I played a lot of Modern Warfare 2. Solid with those games, but like also when I was really young played Minecraft. So like the fact that you could build stuff is like what I like.
What
most.
about a game? Follow me with this. What about a game where you're thrown into an open world, and
You said follow you, bro. Just following you.
Rob's going back like that.
what about a game where you're
Okay.
thrown into an open world? Okay, you don't have anything except the tree branch. All right, you can go immediately to the final boss if you want to.
Right.
And hit him with your switch.
with just your tree branch, or you can go and level up your character, get new weapons, fight enemies, go figure out different areas,
Go get cool armor.
get cool armor.
Are you telling me this is Zelda?
Yes.
I'm describing Breath of the Wild to
Doesn't
you.
it sound like a
Okay.
cool game?
Yeah, that sounds pretty
The
awesome.
end game boss is available to you the moment
Instantly.
the game starts.
Instantly. Now you get your butt handed to you.
And if you want to go up to him and poke him with your stick, he'll kind of swat you like the fly that you are.
Right.
And occasionally, when you think you're big and bad and beefy, you can go and decide how not beefy and big and
Breath
bad
of the
you
Wild
are.
is cool because it's not traditional. Like, you don't actually level up your character at all. Like, you never
Gotcha.
really level him up. You get stronger weapons by traveling to different areas.
Gotcha.
So you get a tree branch at first, and then you have to, like, systematically take out some enemies because you can't beat any enemies with a tree branch. So you have to, like, systematically take out the first few camps because then you can take their weapons.
Right.
And then you go keep on, and you get better
Ooh,
weapons.
Okay.
It's pretty cool, man. It's
I
like
may have to check out Zelda now.
Eventually, you get the Master Sword.
And that's like, you want that?
It's like He-Man's sword, where he just throws it up in the air, and he's like, by the power of Grayskull, except Link would never do
that
such
one's the
lame
only one
things.
that doesn't break.
Gotcha.
All your other ones break after a
Like
while.
after using them for a time.
They break.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a good way of not overpowering your character because you can't just go get like really solid weapons and then hold on to them for the whole game.
Gotcha.
It's
Gotcha.
cool. All right. So
That's why some games you got to go to the blacksmith and repair, and it costs all your gold. And you're like, dude, I just ground out 50 gold, and it took me
see,
3 days.
I don't. That's what I don't like about those. That's what I like about Breath of the Wild against those other ones. I still like games like The Witcher 3 and Skyrim and the really, really complex stuff, like where you can do whatever you want to, and you can go wherever you want to and talk to whoever you want to, and it's
And like
just-
all those little side quests.
It's
that you can take.
overwhelming how much you can do.
It's overwhelming.
But in Breath of the Wild, it's more like stripped away.
In theory, I like open world games, as long as there is a main quest line kind of driving the content. If you were just like, figure it out, dude. Look, that's kind of how I felt with Skyrim. Like 2 hours of playing, I was like, I don't
Yeah.
know what to do, and now I've lost interest. The idea of running around and doing whatever I want seems awesome until you let me do that, and then I'm like,
Then you get lost.
Yeah.
Then
Your,
I'm lost.
your
I'm
quest in Zelda is go defeat Ganon. That's your quest. Now
how you get there is your choice.
Yeah, you end up getting little side quests here and there, but they're not like in Skyrim where you can just take on like 15 quests at one time and not really know which one progresses the story or whatever. You have one main quest that you can do at any time, and you choose when you do it. And you can go do these other things here and there if you want
You
to.
got to treat me like Hansel and Gretel with a little trail of breadcrumbs to have me follow. If you're just like, we'll see you in about 75, hours of gameplay, and
Yeah.
you should be strong enough. I'm going to be fishing the whole time.
All right, we got
Absolutely.
We got to pull
We're
Matt into the
we're
boat
way
here.
out there.
No,
We gotta-
no,
we
I
gotta pull
played
Matt to the
Skyrim
boat.
for a little while, actually.
Skyrim.
Yeah,
Skyrim.
like I got, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 hours in, so like
Okay,
not a
fair
bunch,
enough.
Solid.
but
That's a
like
fair amount.
I got a solid amount in to understand the game.
Yeah, 20 hours, you know what's going on.
Granted, I was younger. I was about 14, 15, 16, so I was just dabbling in it. But actually, now going back, and I had a laptop that didn't run it that well.
Yeah.
So, like, that always pulled out a fun. So, actually, I may go home today and boot up my PC and download Skyrim for future.
There was a funny commercial like a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was an Amazon Alexa commercial. And like Skyrim's been ported to like everything.
Right.
There was a commercial for Alexa, and it was like, now introducing Skyrim, the Alexa version. And it's the guy just talking to Alexa, and he's like, Alexa, move my character one space. Okay, I have moved your character one space. Alexa,
hilarious.
pick up that sword. Okay, Your character has picked up a sword.
Alexa, sell all of my gray uncommon items in my bag to make more bags.
Your character cannot move.
Man, imagine how much time that would make with, like, how much time it would take you to make something like that with how big the world is in Skyrim. That's wild.
Big. It's big. All right, so we're gonna get out of the sticks here. So this is JMR podcast. Is this episode 4 or 5? This is 4.
This is
right?
4. At least I titled it 4.
I think it's 4. I believe it's 4. This is episode 4. I cannot see the camera because of the lights, but thank y'all, whoever is watching right now. If you're watching right now, it's awesome. If you're watching it later, that's okay too.
That's equally awesome.
That's equally awesome. But if you're watching it right now, Rob here will be answering questions
Hi.
in the chat.
So if you type them in now, unlike last week or 2 weeks ago, we'll respond
We
to
will
them.
respond. Rob will respond. I won't because I don't have a computer in front of me, but Rob will.
You hope Rob will respond.
I hope Rob will.
I might get really involved in the topics.
All right, so tonight we are going to talk about 3 topics. We always have 3 topics, or try to have 3 topics. And our first topic is we're going to talk about foldables. Folding devices that have one screen that... never mind. That was weak. We're going to talk about folding phones.
It's way better than folding laundry because that is a topic I could go on for hours about how much I hate it. So folding phones is way better than folding laundry.
My wife really enjoys folding laundry.
In my household, dude.
Am I lying or telling the truth?
You're lying because
Okay.
there are 5 of you in your household. Nobody likes doing laundry for 5. Prior to this is off topic,
Okay.
but
We don't ever go off topic.
prior to meeting my wife, everything I wore was wrinkled because my idea of laundry was put it in the washing machine, take it from the washing machine, put it in the dryer. From the dryer, it stayed in my hamper until I wore it. So the fact that I'm marginally or not wrinkled is thanks to my wonderful wife. Hi, honey, I love you. Because our deal in our household, actually, I think I kind of rigged the deal because I got the better end of the stick, but she does all the laundry, which means that she washes, folds, puts away is like the huge thing.
Right.
And I cook, and I'm down for cooking. Totally, I will cook all day Thanksgiving dinner if you will do laundry for life.
That's awesome.
That's how much I hate laundry.
That sounds like a good deal.
It is, because then my wife doesn't have to be seen with me being all wrinkled like I just came out of the clothesline. Anyway, back to the real topic at hand.
All right, so if you'll go to Samsung.com, or actually, you know what? Don't even do that. Just Google
Samsung
Foldable.
Samsung Z Fold 2.
Z, like Z-E?
That's okay. So right off the bat, that's the only thing I don't like about Samsung lately.
Their
is
naming culture?
The names are stupid.
The
Why
names-
is it called Z Fold?
Because all of the other ones are S this and G that.
But what's the Z have to do with it?
Z, because when you fold it, it looks like a Z. You can fold it in a Z.
So
No, not really.
Yeah, pull up the Samsung one. The Samsung one. Now, if you thought the Note was cool, wait till you see this.
All right. Samsung Fold. You said Z?
Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2 5G.
I've got a Z Flip. It looks like a.
Yeah, not that one. Go back.
Okay, good, because that looks like a makeup
That's
thing
kinda-
that my wife has.
That's the one that folds hamburger style. I want you to pick up the one that folds hot dog style.
Z Fold 2.
Yes. Not the one from Best Buy, though.
Not the one from Best Buy. That's okay.
Oh, actually, that's okay. That's fine. That's fine.
This podcast consists of us trying to find a foldable phone.
It
Oh.
doesn't fold like a Z.
Whoa.
It folds like that. You got it? Okay,
got
cool.
it.
Hey, I totally got it. Folds like a
Wow.
hamburger, and then one folds like a hot dog.
Yeah.
We talked about this the other day.
Wow, that's kind of tight, man.
So this is basically a Note 20 on like steroids.
Right.
Is
it
this
has-
Mystic Bronze too?
That's Mystic Bronze. Has the same cameras, but and they fixed what was wrong with the original Fold. So I had the original Fold for like a month, and the
Right.
original Fold, the screen was like half that size.
Right,
But
right.
it still was the same size device. It just had like a huge bezel.
Can I really make it do that?
Yeah.
That's dope.
So it's a phone and a tablet at the same time.
So for those
So it's a phone like this, and when you unfold it, it's like that.
at home, when you look at this Z Fold, when you open it, It's not a bezel in the middle. It's a full screen. Like, take two of my hand, and that's awesome.
And everything is cohesive. So like if you're on Facebook, if I'm on this page right now and I were to unfold it,
It opens the whole thing.
you don't have to do it again. It automatically just
Does it stay open like that? Do I have to kind of balance it? Does it kind of click in place when I open it?
it clicks. It has a hinge mechanism.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's really stinking cool, man. I could get down with that probably.
That's dope, dude.
Yeah, I could get down with that.
Can I? Yo. Whoa. It's on both sides?
No.
Okay.
So so the outside, the phone part is on the outside.
Okay.
So the phone part is like a normal phone, right? And then you open it like this.
Uh-huh.
And then the tablet is the
So it's
inside
technically got 3 screens.
portion. Yeah.
Wow.
And the camera on the back.
Wow.
It has 6 cameras.
Unreal.
3 forward, 3 rear?
It has the 3 on the back, the one selfie camera on the phone portion,
Right.
and then the camera inside the tablet, which is also a selfie camera as well.
Some Willy Wonka type dude sat in a think tank somewhere and he was like, check out my dope idea. I'm not
Right.
just going to have 2 screens on a phone.
Right.
It's going to be a phone, but when you open it, it's going to be one screen, no bezel in the middle. Forget as thin of a bezel as you could possibly imagine, so it's as seamless as you can. It's
Right.
one big screen.
Right.
Just imagine bending glass. That's awesome. Man, technology is getting so cool.
Now here's the drawbacks.
It's $1,200.
No, it's not. It's $2,000.
What?
It's
Oh,
$2,000.
I'm sorry. It's $1,200 with an
trade-in.
eligible trade-in.
It is $2,000. It does not have a water resistance rating. Pretty much every phone now does.
Right. So it's
it does not have
you
a
drop
water.
it in water, you're done.
It doesn't have a dust resistance rating, and pretty much every other phone does as well.
Imagine getting dirt in that hinge.
Yeah.
You can't even have a case with that phone.
You can. They do make cases for it, but it's very, very selective.
Gotcha.
You can't just go on Amazon and pick from like a million cases.
Okay. I gotcha.
And so I
It
had
was
I
really
had
cool
this
till you
phone.
told
This
me
is
what
the
the
second
sticker
one.
price was.
I had the original one.
Okay.
And the problem with it that the thing that was hard for me to get over
Right.
is one, on that one the screen was super small, but you had like huge bezels on it.
Right. Nobody likes big bezels.
Yeah. I mean you could kind of get over that. It's way better now that they've kind of made the whole thing a screen, so now it actually is phone like usable as a phone.
Gotcha.
But like the problem with that device is it's thick because it's folded, right?
Right.
So it's like this thin when you unfold it, but it's like twice.
Double
It's
thickness.
the size of 2 phones, basically.
Right.
And it wasn't. It sounds so cool on paper,
Not
but
practical.
then when you
though.
actually use it, and maybe this one will be because they fixed a lot of the problems with the first one. But yeah, the practicality of it was my issue.
Yeah, I mean, the iPhone really still hits home for the practicality of just a simple, all-around, solid phone.
Yeah.
You got FaceTime, iMessage, very
Right.
easy to do.
So like the job that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be like 20 feet in the air on a lift.
Right.
So I don't know if I'd want to have like a foldable phone up there with me.
Absolutely. You want an iPhone with an OtterBox or
Yeah.
like a spec case or
Yeah.
something.
Something that's just, if it does fall, it has a chance.
Absolutely.
That I'm not going to freak out about.
And it's not, and the phone is so tall that like this can fit in your pocket, but that one will
Right.
stick out of your pocket.
Absolutely. And some people may say like, oh, just like buy a warranty for the phone. So if you drop your phone and you break your phone, you can just go and get it replaced for free. But then you got to think, well, it's going to take a week to get replaced. And if you're on the other side of the country working, which is what Josh is going to be doing. He's going to be taking a job where he's doing a bunch of travel. And if you're on the other side of the country, that instantly becomes a hassle to find a repair shop. And then on top of that, you have family that you want to talk to at home. You have 3 kids, and that's just no-go. Get an iPhone with a nice OtterBox.
Yeah, and you don't have nothing beats Apple Care.
Right.
You got an iPhone, you got Apple Care, you pay a couple bucks a month for it, and if it breaks, you get another one next day pretty much.
Right.
Samsung doesn't really have that, and for me that's a big problem. I don't know why they don't. They used to have something called Samsung Premium Care or something like that, and I actually think they still have it, but it's not as accessible as Apple Care is. Like Apple Care, you buy the phone, they ask you if you want it right then and there. Like, do you want to add
Right.
Apple Care? And you can say no. And even if you say no, you still have you have 60 days.
Right.
60 days.
2 months.
Yeah, to add it from your device. Samsung doesn't give you that option. They offer it on some of their phones. I think they offer it on the flagships, but you have to get it at the time of purchase. If you don't,
Right.
you don't get
Because
another chance.
You break your phone, and then then you sign up for Apple Pay, or Apple Care, and then it's you just rip off Apple.
Yeah,
basically.
Apple makes you do. If you buy it after the fact, it makes you do a diagnostic that sends it to Apple.
Right. It's like an insurance for your phone almost. Like
Yeah,
insurance
but I
for
mean,
a car.
it makes you do it checks your phone remotely to see if it's damaged before you buy it. But
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, but Samsung doesn't have anything like that. So, if you buy a $2,000 phone and you forget to get insurance, now you can get Square Trade or any of those third-party ones. You can get those after the fact. But I would think, I like having the regular in-house
Absolutely.
warranty.
I think this phone is designed for a person who has gobbles of money, who just kind of wants to go and have some fun with it. I think it's also a great innovation phone that'll spark innovation among other companies. And
Speaking of that, look up the Microsoft Surface Duo. Microsoft Surface Duo. Try that one.
I've played with the Microsoft Surface. It's okay.
This is a phone, though.
It's a phone.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is a totally different idea of a foldable.
all right, let's see what we got here. Pre-order now. Microsoft.com. Let's see what we're working with.
Nothing.
That's it.
The new Surface Duo. Do one better. Oh, yeah, hard pass. Nope.
Yeah, okay. Right off the bat.
Right off the bat, that's a no-go.
Right off the bat. So this, to me, looks like...
It looks like a digital electronic book.
It looks like an iPad, but
Grafted to itself.
yeah.
Man, look it up. Microsoft, what? Surface Duo. That's
It looks like an iPad to me that, you know how you get a double monitor and you extend the displays?
Yep.
right.
It looks like an iPad that you
Yep.
just extended the display on.
Hey, bro, we
Yes.
got all these extra iPad minis in storage that nobody's buying.
And
we
you have
need
two attached to each other.
need to get a
we
little
need a way to
welder.
clear out the stock. What do you want to do? Let's surgically connect them and charge a 50%
Now
upcharge.
this one can flip all the way around, and then you have a screen on both sides. But
That's cool, but
That's
But
cool if you're a
what do you do
kindergarten
with-
show and tell teacher.
yes, but that's about it. I get those very elementary school vibes off of this phone.
so the Samsung one's better.
Yeah, 100%.
Where does it? I'm scrolling trying to look for what the dimensions are because
Oh, I missed-
it doesn't look very big.
On the Samsung one, you couldn't do this on the first fold, but on the new one, you can fold it halfway, and you can set it,
Like an L. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like a laptop almost.
and it's like a mini laptop.
Right.
And it does certain features that are only, it
Available
knows
to
that
that
it
phone.
knows that it's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that orientation.
I get that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you showed me this first, I'd be like, oh, that's cool, man. Blah, 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 blah. And I'd go on for about 5 minutes about it. And then if you showed me the Samsung afterwards, I'd be like, that's dope and awesome. But now that we're watching it in reverse, I'm not
Not impressed?
Like there's
A
a
super hinge.
There's a super hinge at the top and the bottom. Like
It's like the notch, but way worse.
And then if you look at the bottom, like, what screen are you on? Are you on the one where it's like, okay, so like, look at this. I'm on this screen, and if you look close, like, it looks like it's the iPhone, like 10 and up, where you have like the little swipe up thing. So it looks like they just botched that from Apple.
Yeah.
Dude, it literally looks like
It's
two
like-
iPad minis that are sandwiched together.
This iPad
And they
right
put a
here,
stick
put
in the
together.
sewn together with
That's what it looks like. That's
big old
literally
hinge.
what it looks like.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you know how you were talking about earlier with the video games, and they didn't just rush something out and be like, "Here you go, have a little appetizer." That's like rushing something out so that they can have time to do something better once somebody else does something better.
So you know Apple's gonna make one of these. You know they are. They probably are. It's probably already made.
I think they already have a concept out
was
for
gonna
it.
say, it's probably
the
already
iPhone
made.
12 is, I believe they're going to have a foldable iPhone 12.
That'd be cool.
I mean, it's got cool stuff. I mean, it's got built-in Microsoft Office. I mean, there's looking at what's on it and what comes with it
For what?
for the Duo. I mean, it says built-in. For $1,400. I mean, it's neat.
Okay, if I was gonna spend $1,400, I'd rather just spend the
On a
the
real
other
laptop.
500. Well, no, I'd rather just if I had them it was in my budget, I'd rather just spend the other $500 and get the real foldable. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Right. So this is the iPhone 12 concept foldable, if you want to pass that around.
So that looks like the Z Fold,
Right.
the
Yep.
one that the hamburger style.
It's a hamburger style. It looks pretty sick. I could probably get behind that solely because it's iPhone. But
So the only thing about this that I like really is if you have something like this, you don't have to rely on a case so much.
I think that's cool because they have the screen on the outside, and so I'm super dating myself. Way back when I had Nextel and I had a foldable Nextel, the outside I could see who's calling me without opening my phone.
and then that's satisfying. A flip open and it auto answers and hello.
Yeah,
See, I want something like that.
that's cool, man. Look
That's
at that thing.
that's basically what the Samsung one is, but I want an Apple one.
Like that.
Like that.
So for all of you who aren't watching, it's like merging two iPhones, no bezels, flipping it together. There's just no technology out for it right now. At least no consumer technology out for it. Who knows? The military probably.
Because
has
like
technology
there's
like
a lot
this.
of times where I'm sitting on the couch and it's like I have the iPad, I have the phone, and it's like, man, I wish I just had one. I had to carry around two devices. I just had one. Like, how cool would that be at worship practice if you got your phone and it's like, oh, pull up the music sheet. There's my
That
tablet.
would be pretty cool.
That's cool. But the price has got to come down.
For the first time that something like that comes out, it's always going to be more
Oh, yeah.
expensive, and then as time goes on, the price will come down. And when it gets down to the $1,400 range, I'd
It's
consider
in
it.
range. It's in range.
Yeah, range. $2,000.
Too much. $2,000
It
too
actually
much.
went up though. It was only $1,800 last year. It went up to $2,000 this year. So
Seems
that's
like
not good.
Maybe-
all prices on tech is surging now with COVID and everything going on.
Yeah.
So the iPhone event is next week.
Ooh, what's the iPhone event? What's the iPhone event?
So we've already talked about the iPhones. So we got the 4 iPhones that are coming. They're coming out with Apple tags, which are. You remember the tiles? Do you remember those?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you remember those tiles?
Yes. That's for people who lose stuff, and they're like, oh, where did I
That's
leave my
basically
keys?
what Apple tags are.
That's cool.
So you put them like I think they would be better for like. To me, I think of like a woman that has like a purse or something, or a guy with a backpack.
And for all you ladies out there, Josh isn't hating on you. Josh just says that women tend to lose stuff more often than dudes.
No, but like like I carry my backpack around. I could throw one in there, and then if I can't find my backpack, you can do your Find Your Air tag, and oh, it's over there in the.
I would never need one for my backpack because it goes everywhere I go. It's in my truck most days. Like there's,
True that. Every time I see Rob, he comes in with a backpack on.
yeah.
Almost every time.
Not that I was a Boy Scout, but that's the Boy Scout motto, dude. Be prepared.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is one thing, though. I don't know if I would get it. Like, I love the ability to be able to track something.
It's going to be expensive because it's Apple. That's another thing.
So there's that issue, and then also I'm not a big guy or a big fan of being tracked. Like
yeah.
I don't have anything, but I don't want like something that's gonna tie me to a spot wherever I go.
Everywhere.
Like, you know, people be like, "Oh man, why are you saying that?" You know, your iPhone does it, but I turn off all my location services on my iPhone unless I'm using Maps. Then I'll turn it on, get to my location, and I'll cut off my location services just because. It's not like I'm afraid of anybody like tracking me or anything, but it's just like a sense of privacy. Like,
Yeah, Big Brother's watching.
absolutely. Like,
Big Brother's listening. Hi.
so you could go on like settings, and you can go into your settings and be like, oh, you know, scroll down. But then you can go to your most visited places, and by default, that's auto on.
Yeah, somebody made me aware of that like 3 years ago, and I was blown away. I was like, my phone totally knows where I've been at least for the last week.
Absolutely.
I was blown away by that. It kind of freaked me out, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, my phone knows where I've been.
All right, so how about this then? You don't like tags. That's cool. I'm not feeling the tags too much myself.
Yeah.
So you got the 4 iPhones, you got the tags, and then you've also got AirPods Studios, which are going to be like they're basically going to be the Beats headphones, but they're AirPods now. They're AirPods. AirPods is going to become a brand basically,
Right.
not just the AirPods themselves. They're
Absolutely.
going to have AirPods Studios with changeable ear cups.
That's pretty sweet.
So like if you want like you know how you get like a pair of headphones and you can't find like the perfect one. Like you get one that's like, oh, the bass sounds really good on this one, but the treble's not there.
Yep.
And you go to the next one, oh, the treble's really good, but the bass isn't there.
Or I really like the headphones, but they hurt my ears, and I wish I could change out the foam or something.
And you can always EQ it, but nothing's better than having like just having a plain dialed in sound
Yep.
that sounds good.
Word.
That you don't have to mess with. That's basically what this is. So they're going to sell you, it's going to come with the standard ear cups, but they're going to sell you like a bass version or a vocal version.
Oh, so it's not just foam ear cups. It's like ear cups, like the driver section of
Yeah.
it. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's going to be really sick.
So like you're basically going to have like, it's going to be the stem
Right.
and like it's Apple, so it probably is going to be like magnetic.
Right.
The cups like magnetically attach.
Yeah, yeah.
And it'll probably come with like just a generic, all around sound, which you can buy a bass heavy one. Or,
Right.
And it's
Oh,
like,
that'll be
it's
cool.
EQ'd out of the box. You don't have to mess with it.
Yeah, you basically buy EQ'd cups
Yeah.
for what you want to listen to.
Right.
That's
or
awesome.
Upgraded.
That's kind of cool.
That's dope.
And it's going to be it's going to be magnetic because it's Apple, so it's going to be magnetic. New Apple Watch. Probably nothing exciting with the Apple Watch. And then they're going to come out with a new iPad Air that's going to be designed like that.
Like my Pro?
Yeah, but it'll be limited. So it'll be this design, but it won't have 4 speakers. It'll have 2. It won't have the OLED, the high refresh rate. It'll have 60 hertz refresh rate. But it'll work with the new keyboard. It already works with the pencil. The Airs already work with the pencil, but it'll work with the new pencil. The current ones work with the old one. It'll work with the new pencil. It'll have a nice new design.
It'll be like the
So it'll be someone
it'll be
that-
like the cheaper entry level version.
These are hard to get into.
No, it's not. You just go to your new employer and be like, I sure would like a new
Right,
iPad
but-
Pro. And they're like, okay, dude.
But
no
for,
problem. It'll be
but
here
for
on
the rest of
Wednesday."
us that can't do that, these are kind of hard to get into. They're really expensive.
They're expensive. They're
The
expensive.
cheapest one is like $800.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
they're hard to get into, but this is such a better design than no offense, but like this.
Oh, 100%.
It's a better design. It's got more screen and it's lighter.
When I had my previous version, the first version of it, I thought it was pretty cool and awesome. And then so this is third generation. This thing's even better.
Right.
Right.
So for someone that's like, I'd really like to have those features, but I don't want to spend, if they want to get the big one, I don't want to spend $1,000 on an iPad. They can go with the iPad Air that looks like this, just not as flashy, and it's going to be like $500.
Yes, you make some trades a little bit. You dial a couple of things back,
And
and
for a
it's
lot of people, they're not going to care
far
about
more
that.
affordable.
They're like, oh, it's a new design. I'm going to get it.
word. I like that. That's cool.
So yeah, so new iPhones, one new iPad, AirTags, AirPods Studio. I don't think we're going to see anything else besides that.
That's a lot.
Yeah, people are hoping they're going to release one of the new Macs with the new chips, but I don't think it's going to happen until like probably end of the year.
I was gonna say November is kind of the time.
Yeah.
November, December.
Yeah, late October to November would be around about that time.
I don't think they'll do it in December though. I think they'll try to get it out before Christmas because people are gonna want to buy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Releasing it in January after Christmas already came.
Speaking of that, we can go and transition to our next topic.
Uh-huh.
You got a new device this week.
My wife got a new device this week.
You got a new device for your wife this week.
I helped finance a new device for my wife this week. I found myself in the market for a laptop to do various things that I don't currently do or have access to. So my wife had ideas of doing like videos and whatnot, kind of starting like a social media ministry kind of thing and to just do all that kind of stuff. I have been wanting to start our own side gig business for a good long while.
Absolutely.
And so I needed something that could handle some e-commerce and maybe do a little bit of graphic stuff. And I'm the kind of person that if I'm going to buy computery stuff, I don't want to buy entry level because I feel like next year or the year after, I'm just going to have to replace it. And I don't want to buy mid-level because then I just get myself like 3 or 4 years. And so I'm not like, hey, let's go buy the most expensive, deck it out with every option. But I most certainly want to buy higher end so that I have longevity.
Absolutely.
Nothing sucks more, especially if you're talking about a laptop, which you can't just go online, buy parts, plug and play. What you get is pretty much what you get, right?
So when the conversation started last week,
Oh, yeah, I was like, hey, I know some guys.
well, not even that, but I didn't have a 16-inch in mind for you at first. That was like
Me neither.
way, 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 way beyond what you needed.
Your words were, if you really want to throw money at it and money's not a problem, get the 16.
Yeah, because it's true. If it's in range in your budget, I don't like using the words if you can afford it because that just sounds horrible.
Yeah.
But if it was within your range and in your budget, then here's the problem with Apple's lineup right now. They have the 13-inch. The MacBook Airs are basically garbage. They're basically garbage.
I saw that.
Like
$1,000 for what an iPad does, basically. Like your
iPad's-
iPad,
that's better than
that will
that's
be
better
10
than
times
a
more
Mac.
powerful.
I felt like my iPad, after looking at it, I felt like my iPad was more powerful.
100% more powerful
Absolutely.
than a MacBook
and
Air.
You're going for something that you want to be more powerful than that iPad.
Yes.
So
If you were going to get an Air, I would have told you to go to the Apple Store, buy the Magic Keyboard for your iPad, and there's your MacBook Air.
yeah,
And it's better.
And that would have been a true story, yes.
All right, so just cancel the Airs out altogether. But you got the MacBook Pro lineup, and the problem right now is that Apple they don't structure their stuff like they used to. Like Apple used to be like, this is Apple, you're getting the best device, period. No matter what you get, it's a solid device. But it's not like that anymore. And it's like that across the board. Like they never used to have like entry level stuff. It was you're getting Apple, you already know what you're getting. So
right. And now you're starting to find like the 13-inch MacBook Pro for like $700, $800.
Right. So go ahead.
I was gonna say, which they used to, like, you could never find one under $1,400 or $1,500.
The very basic MacBook Pro. Yeah, go ahead and pull them up. The very basic MacBook Pro, 13-inch.
The basic 13-inch didn't wow me.
It's worse. It's worse than the maxed out MacBook Air.
Yes.
It is.
Which makes no sense.
The MacBook Air maxed out is a better computer.
Than the entry level
Yes.
13-inch.
But the maxed out MacBook Air costs almost as much as like the mid-level MacBook Pro. But and at that point, that MacBook Pro is a lot better.
So here's what I think is interesting, right? Is if you're going to talk about most places, if you're going to go somewhere and you get entry, mid, high, they call it good, better, best, right? if you're going to give me something that's called a MacBook Pro, your entry level better be really darn good, right? You shouldn't, when I say you shouldn't compromise, I don't mean it needs to be decked out and the cost is $4,000 and off you go, but it should be pretty powerful, out of the box, base level.
Can I ask for a sidebar for a moment?
Sure, hit me.
And I want to go back to this.
Okay.
So hold that.
Holding.
But sidebar, I don't like that Apple puts the word pro in everything anymore.
It's over. We could riff on this for a good long while, and I'm totally thinking automotive, where people up badge stuff, and it's like, ooh, I've got a Benz, but if I put an AMG badge on it, instantly you're like, dude, that's $20,000 more, right?
Right. So like when I
that's
went
the
to,
end of our car talk. Thanks.
So when I went to Full Sail in 2007, I received a MacBook Pro.
Okay.
Right. Back then, it was the only one. It was the only
15 or 17 inch.
Right, but it was the only thing that was called a Pro.
Sure.
You had MacBook and you had MacBook Pro.
Distinction.
MacBook was catered to like consumers. Like if you were just an average Joe and you
wanted to browse the internet
you go
Check your
and
email.
check your email. Yeah.
But if you're in school going for graphic design or music production like I was,
MacBook Pro.
you get a MacBook Pro because it's a pro device for a pro user. But now you got AirPods Pros. Like what makes an AirPod a pro device?
Yeah, just say AirPods with noise canceling. Doesn't have to be AirPods Pro.
And the worst one is
It waters down the pro word to
you
me.
have iPhone Pros. How can a phone be a pro device?
You have taken the word and the label and what it stands for and what it's supposed to be capable of, and you've used that as a
Right.
upcharge word
Just
on other
because
items.
you put an OLED screen in doesn't make it a pro device. Just because
iPhone with OLED.
Yeah, just because you put a third camera on there doesn't make it a pro device. It doesn't. And just because you put things that go in your ears instead of things that don't does not make your AirPods a pro device.
It's pro because it says it is.
And it just I can get behind the iPad Pro. I'm okay with that because that is a pro device. It can be.
It can be.
It's still a media consumption device, but you can use this.
I'm just going to tell you that for what you guys led me towards and educated me on, it will do far more than I will probably ever use it for, right?
So can I borrow this for a second?
Go for it.
So if you put these up next to each other,
Uh-huh.
I can look at these two and I can say, that's a pro device. I can clearly tell that is a pro device. If
Okay.
you just listed out what that does and what this does, I can tell this is a consumer device. This is still a consumer device, but it can be used as a pro device.
It can do other things. At the end of the day, these two things will do what most people want them to do. Sign on, read some news, check my email, look at social media, make a couple posts, buy a couple things.
Right. But if I have this, an iPhone 11, and I put it next to my wife's iPhone 11 Pro, it's the same
You
experience.
can't tell too many differences.
No, it's
you
the
really
same
got to start
experience.
diving. Right, right.
It's the same experience.
I think adding that word to it,
It's clout.
adding that word to other devices,
that word has a lot of money attached to it.
it
That's the
does,
thing.
but the more you abuse it and the more you press that button for pro so I can get $50 more, pro so I can get $100 more, pro so that people are like, well, I don't want the entry level base model, I want the pro version.
Like
right?
I'm surprised we don't have an Apple Watch Pro or AirTags Pros.
Coming.
True that.
Or, you
it
know,
will be.
Tile
and you know
Pros.
what the difference is?
The AirTags Pro you just inject into your arm.
I think you dilute what that word stands for, and so when other products like the the pods,
I like the AirPods Pros. I like them better than the AirPods, but they're not. I don't like them enough to where they can be called a pro device.
what they should have done to make the distinction and to set it apart in a higher level from the others is given it a word,
Plus,
yes, but not pro.
that's fine.
Plus is
AirPods
fine.
Plus.
Something that designates that it is a higher level, it has more bells and whistles, better features, whatever, to justify the cost.
Samsung started doing that this year. They started calling everything Ultra.
Oh, right, right.
I
You got
saw
the
that.
S20
Ultra.
Ultra and the Note 20 Ultra.
It's because one company makes some sort of naming, like nomenclature, and it works and it catches on. And so to not have people think of, well, you know, I've got the S20 and the S20 fill in whatever
There's
lane.
3 of them. There's a Plus and an Ultra.
Before they had that naming gimmick, it didn't have enough oomph. It didn't have enough. Well, Apple's got Pro. What do you got, bro? Oh, I've got the upgraded version. I've got the decked out version. No. Now I've got Ultra.
Selling point.
Here's my VIP card to get into the club, people.
Do you like Pro better or Ultra better?
Personally, I like Ultra better.
Me
Ultra,
too.
Ultra sounds
I like
way
Ultra better.
Yeah,
I like Ultra better.
I like Ultra better.
What do you like better?
Do you like
you
Pro?
like
It's okay.
Pro?
You
I
can
like
say-
Pro better.
You can say Pro. It's cool.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Matt's like, I'm no amateur.
I don't know. Ultra, Pro, I like them both. I think they're both good topics, and I like how they split up the differences. Now, I think it would be really cool for Samsung to go with the S20 Pro and then just steal what Apple's doing, you know? Because, like, steal their thunder a little
But
bit.
don't you think that people would be like, you're just ripping off of Apple? Not that they're not already doing it,
Right.
but they're not totally
But
ripping it
Apple's
off
ripping
with
off
the
of-
same name.
Yeah, and Apple's ripping off of them, too, for things, in my opinion. Just depending on different, like the Fold. Samsung did that way before iPhone still hasn't done it, but Samsung's been dabbling. And if the rumors about the iPhone 12 are true, I think people could say, oh, well, you know, they're ripping off of Samsung. Face ID, Samsung had that way before iPhone. Now, iPhone
Apple did it better. They
Apple
did it better.
Apple did it better. Apple perfected it. But Samsung had the idea.
That's what excites me about the
Ish.
foldables, though, is that look how good this one is, and Apple
Right.
hasn't even messed with it yet. You know, I mean, you know Apple's going to come out and
Their
knock it out of the
engineers will
park.
be good. They'll do a good job.
Yeah.
If you're going to rip on something, you don't make a second tier version of it.
Absolutely.
You make a far better version of it. Or you don't do it.
All
Absolutely.
right, so back to.
I was gonna say,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Diving
Finish your
back,
thought.
diving back to your MacBook Pro though.
Yeah, there you
Uh-huh.
go.
I remember when you texted us, you were like, "I'm looking for a computer," and you didn't tell us that it was for Rhonda at the time. So we're like, "Man," I was like, I can't believe Rhonda's letting Rob spend this much money on a computer for himself."
She didn't.
Did she go with you to get the computer?
Yes.
Did she go in the store?
Yes.
What'd you think of Sam?
She was kind of sketched out. We drove into Metro West, and Metro West isn't necessarily a sketch part of town. I think
That's
Metro
a
West
nice
is
area.
a nice part of town, right? And so we pull up to it, and she's like, "This is it," and I'm like, "Yeah,
just a phone repair shop.
Yeah, but okay, it's not like some back alley industrial
road.
warehouse. It's a store. It's a real storefront, and it's got a sign on the front, and there's words on the door, and it's not all blacked out like sketch and like you're gonna get murked or chopped into bits and pieces, right?" And she's like, "This is it," and I was like, "Yeah, what were you expecting?" She's like, "I was expecting it to be a big store like a Best Buy." I'm like, "There are no big stores like Best Buy no more, dude. Like Circuit City went out. It's done. You have little storefronts."
Yeah, Circuit City.
Yeah.
We can't go to. All right, we
So we walk in, and she's looking at it, and you know it's brand new. Plastic's still on. I mean, you get the little
Yep.
like opening the cellophane was awesome, right? Like
Yeah.
it just smells brand
That's
new.
awesome.
best
yeah.
part.
Okay, that was my only thing because of how smoking of a deal it was, right? Is that it was going to be an open box, and
Or you were thinking like he put something in there and then somehow shrink wrapped it back up. And it's
That's
like there's like a potato inside or something.
the iPad weighs 4 pounds, and so I need 4 pounds of dough. You know, like
Right.
I'm not worried about that, right? Okay. My only concern was that it was open box because I'm not interested in an open box item. I'm just not. That's just me.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, cool dude, and he's all, you know, we're all masked up, so you can't really you get eyeballs. That's all you get, right? He's got a hat on, and so he's like telling me all about it, and Rhonda's like looking at me for a sign that I'm sketched out, ready to balk, do something, and I'm like, okay, dude. So
Escape plan.
yeah. So do you want? Here's my card. You know, and she's like, is this?
Check to make sure that $10,000 didn't just go out of your account.
You know, and she's like, "Is this it? Is it
ours?
Is this the
Does
right?
it belong to us?
Is this the right thing?" I'm like, "Uh huh, yeah, we're good, cool." Like off we go, and she's like, "So when we get back in the car, like, because you can't do it in front of the dude because it's super weird, right?"
Absolutely. You don't know what to expect.
Dude, we get in the car and like the seatbelt hasn't even buckled, and she's like, "Were you sketched out back there?" You're not worried about giving him your credit card. Why? It's a credit card. I would have worried if it was cash because, like,
Right.
you know, you fork over some cash and that stuff's gone. But on a credit card, like, you can dispute, like, you have a.
Go to the bank. Say,
But
hey.
I don't need to. I was like, it's everything that we needed.
Gave you a receipt, didn't he?
Yeah.
Plus, you also
got
had
an email
somebody
receipt.
who has bought from that source a bunch of times.
Yeah, I have a credible dude who pointed me in that direction. And, dude, no lie, if we've been friends for a year and this is your congrats on the long play. Like, that's awesome. I don't have the patience
Just to
for
get
that.
$2,000. Spend a year for $2,000.
Hey man, I spent $6. Go ahead and get my share of the money.
I think we should start a
I want my
podcast
cut.
between three like best friends and this just to get $2,000.
Just to get $2,000. So she's like, okay, have you ever done anything like that before? I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I've bought some like bootleg stuff, but I was like, this isn't bootleg. All I know is what it is and what the extras are. Realistically, to get it a couple $100 cheaper than face value is a good deal to me, but to get all of the other perks that came along with it at the discounted price, I was like, dude, seriously, at the end, like, truth be told, real story, at the end of the day, on my base model 16-inch MacBook Pro, I probably saved on the cheap side a grand.
Over.
Probably closer to like $1,200.
Yeah.
So it's like a third off. That's awesome, right? Straight up, that's awesome.
And I wouldn't have suggested the 16-inch if I hadn't have thought of Sam.
Okay, so when I initially, asked you guys, like, what do you guys think? You guys were like, MacBook Pro, this is the way to go, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Looking at, forget dollars and cents. Like, take the dollars and cents out of it, but the 13-inch and what it comes with base and the 16-inch, what it comes with base, hardware-wise, there's not much of a difference. You're talking a little difference in speed of the RAM because one said it was, I think it was like 2,700 megahertz and the other one was like 3,200 megahertz, all right? I'm like, okay, but it's still 16 megs of DDR4, but it's a different kind of DDR4. And
DDR4X.
So I don't know really what the difference is.
Big difference.
Okay. So 16 megs of RAM at roughly the same speed. Like, I'm like, that one's kind of a toss-up to me. And the other difference was onboard graphics versus standalone graphics. And I'm a big fan of standalone graphics.
How big was your SSD going to be on a 13-inch? So like 128 gigs? Or 256 at best?
No, it's a terabyte. It's a terabyte.
Oh,
On
okay.
a MacBook Pro?
Uh-huh. Hold on. Now you have me thinking.
You have to spend a lot extra to get a terabyte.
As I say, it's about $200-$300 in add-ins for a terabyte.
I didn't think it was. I
Yeah,
thought it was the base model. I'm sorry, let me rephrase. The base model with the two Thunderbolt ports
That was
came with
120.
512. The
Really?
other one came with a terabyte, as
Oh,
does
really?
the 16. So
They must have just changed that.
yeah.
It was 256.
Oh no.
I was going to say, because you got a big upgrade on your SSD as well.
I did. I was
Did
honestly.
you get a terabyte SSD or 512?
I think you got 512.
I think
Or
I got
516,
I think I got
whatever
512.
five is.
Yeah.
512 is solid, though.
Gotcha. Oh, absolutely.
But,
is
so
solid.
if you think about the MacBook Pros, where the 13 and then the 13 with the 4 Thunderbolt ports and then the 16, the mid-grade, or I guess the top entry-level, that's a weird way of wording it, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
To me, was almost a comparable machine to the 16, just for a bigger screen. Dollars are different by like $500 or $600, and I'm like, for the $500 or $600 upgrade, for the slight difference, or what I perceive to be the slight difference in RAM, the difference to me was onboard graphics and standalone graphics. And I would rather, but standalone graphics are the only way you can get that is in the 16. You don't get that in the 13 at all.
Right.
The MacBook Pro that you have in certain benchmarks will outperform the iMac Pro, which costs $5,000.
That's impressive to me for something
That's a laptop comparing to a
Which is
desktop.
awesome.
that's unheard of to me.
Now, going back to Mac and why Josh recommended that to you, and I 100% agreed with Josh. Now, in our group thread, Josh did about 98.7% of the talking.
You could have just chimed in and said ditto.
Yeah, I literally chimed in. I said, go with the 16-inch, Rob. You won't regret it. And I really think I just said 16-inch is the move, Rob. Do it.
Hey, buddy Rob, I'll spend your dollars. Buy the 16-inch. It's all good.
So
Make it rain.
when you first asked, you didn't tell us it was for Rhonda, so I thought it was for you. But you did give us the same reasons why you want it. A little bit of graphic design, a little bit of e-commerce, you know, this, a little bit of video editing. My first thought went, okay, if he goes with Windows, you're going to have to buy a video editor. Now, if you go with MacBook Pro or just any Mac, you get iMovie for free. And for the most
Didn't
part,
know he was getting Final Cut for free at that point.
right. But for 90% of people, iMovie, splicing little clips together, keep
It's
keep
solid.
it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Is what you, and honestly, I would start off with using iMovie so you don't get overwhelmed with Final Cut Pro. You know, learn the basics, and if you want to do fancy stuff, then go into Final Cut Pro. So that was my first thought about going with Mac OS instead of Windows. If you go Windows, you know, Dell makes the XPS 15-inch and 17-inch and a 13-inch too. So you got all these options, all a little bit cheap. Like their $1,200 computer, we just probably match up with, you know, Apple's $3,000 computer. Now, or maybe the one you got, you know, because you got a smoking deal on yours. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, Windows would be better performance-wise, but you got an iPad Pro, you got an iPhone.
You should put them together.
I was gonna say, you're not gonna be, if you had like a DSLR that you were filming on, then import it into your computer, then wanted to edit in something like Premiere, I would say go Windows. But I'm thinking between you and Rhonda, if you guys are gonna be taking photos of something like for your side business, taking videos, you're gonna do that
With my iPhone.
with your
It's already
iPhone,
on your
with your iPad
Yeah.
Pro. You already have AirDrop, but boom, instantaneous
Well,
transfer.
if you have iCloud photos, it automatically goes.
It'll
on.
automatically upload.
Now you're leaving
I'm-
out the. Or go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm not a big fan of iCloud. I pay like 99 cents a month just to get the 50 gigabytes for my backup on the phone.
You're a baller. I refuse to spend 99 cents. But I
So-
totally drop money on this thing.
So and really the one thing we haven't even touched base on is the resale value. You know, if you decide 6 months from now, hey, you know what, not feeling this, I want to get something else. You will make money selling that back
Absolutely.
based on the deal that you got.
Because of the deal that I got.
You will
yes.
make money on it. If you had bought even an XPS,
Yes.
it's like buying a car. As soon as you drive off the lot, you lose 20%.
Rhonda and I had that conversation about why go with Apple. I was like, you know, in all honesty, when I think about the things that I want to do with it and the longevity of it, I mean, Apple, let's just be honest, Apple makes a solid product, right?
And it holds its value.
It holds its value. And so thinking about that long term, it's a bigger investment up front, but if you were to sell it, you would recoup a good chunk of that. Can I go and get a Dell or an HP or fill in the blank with a Windows laptop significantly cheaper, right? Let's just say 30 to 50% cheaper. Absolutely. Will it do similar things? Sure. Will it be as fast? Because I don't know about you, but like when I press a button and I want a screen to open, I want that screen to open right now.
Instantaneous.
Yes. The idea of waiting. So one of the video that you sent me, and then another video actually had all 4 base models up there. The MacBook Air, the 13-inch, the upper level 13-inch, and the 16-inch, and they were rendering a 10-minute 4K
Was that
video.
another Luke Miani video?
It was a different dude. Oh, no, same dude. Yeah,
He's
same
really
dude.
good.
And it showed them rendering the video, and the 16-inch Pro did it in like 4 minutes and some change. The next 2 13-inches were about 45 seconds apart from each other, but they were 8 to 9 minutes, double the time frame of the 16-inch. The Air came in at like 18 minutes and some change.
No way.
Okay?
It's got to be that
I'm
dedicated
surprised the air didn't
graphics
shut
card.
down.
And,
It
oh
is,
no!
it is.
And so during the benchmarks, they showed about you go through all the benchmark videos, and where the processor goes and the fans kicking in and everything. And like I understand hardware, right? Like I dig that kind of stuff, but when you run it through those things and you give me a benchmark number, 8,000, 12,000, 13,000, whatever the number is, I'm like, okay, well I don't know what that number means.
Right.
But I know that number's higher than last year's model and 5 years ago model. Okay, cool. I get that. But when you show me real things that it does compared to the other versions and how much faster when I click this, 25 seconds later, this is done and this one's still chewing on it for 2 minutes, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, long term, that to me that makes a difference. You know?
Yeah.
I consider that to be real world stuff. Not that the benchmark stuffs aren't. It's just it spits you a number. It's like
Absolutely.
it's like a battle rating, 13,000. You know, I feel like Vegeta hitting my scanner. It's like it's over 9,000. I freak out.
So I know you haven't had it for long, but so far, are you happy with your purchase?
I am to a degree, but I haven't done anything with it, and so to a sense, I'm kind of like lackluster. Like
You need OpenMU.
I do. I need a Bluetooth controller. But here's my thing. Like I have this, and so far I have done the same things that I would do on this with my 16, and I'm like I just dropped $2,000 on a computer to check email and download some apps and do some updates.
Right.
Find out how powerful your iPad is when you compare, like,
I already know that this thing is powerful. Before I had an iPad, at the last farm that I worked at, I had a desktop. Or I'm sorry, not a desktop. I had a laptop. And my laptop did what I needed it to do. I need to open some spreadsheets, send some email, take some photos, email some photos. Nothing intense whatsoever. In fact, it's really not any different because I'm still in the same line of work, but I know that my iPad is significantly more powerful than any laptop I've ever owned. This thing will do far more than I could possibly ever need it to do because I'm not a graphics intensive dude, but for the things that I need it for work, it does all of that and beyond, and I'm sure that if I thought about how hard I've ever pushed this thing from 1 to 100, I'm probably somewhere in like the 30s.
Absolutely.
You know?
And that's always nice to have a high-end working piece of equipment. Like when we buy speakers. You buy speakers, just like for your truck.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to push them at 80, 90%. You want to have top-of-the-end speakers and only run them at 30 or 40%.
I don't want to work the heck out of them and then be wore out really,
Absolutely.
really quick. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a great analogy.
That is a great analogy. That's awesome. So at the end of the day, do I feel like I got a good deal? Absolutely. Do I feel like it's going to take care of everything I needed to take care of for many, many years? Absolutely. So in that sense, I feel like I got my dollar's worth, right? If I think about the fact that I'll probably get somewhere between, on the super conservative end, 5 years out of it, realistically, I'll probably milk it for more like 8 or 10. That's an awesome deal, dude. Like the longer I use it, in 5 years, that's $400 a year. That's not all that bad. In 8 years, that's probably more like $200 and some change.
Right.
You know, in 10 years, that's straight up $200 a year. That's awesome, and I
then
expect that it'll do every bit of that.
I was going to say, on top of that, if you use it to start your little business that you're talking about, which I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, businesses bring in money.
Yeah.
So you could recoup a lot of that money with the business you're starting.
Oh, I intend to.
there's people that are using plain Jane MacBooks from 2010.
Mm-hmm.
They're still using them today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they don't run very good in 2020,
Yeah.
but they still work.
Yeah.
But these are plain Jane, bare bones MacBooks. You've got one of the best Apple computers you can get right now. So imagine how that's going to perform.
10 years from now.
Probably a lot better than a bare bones one would.
If I'll tell you straight out that if I thought that I spent, let's just say I spent $2,000 on a Windows-based computer,
You got 3 years, 4 years maybe.
I would not feel 5 years down the road comparatively that my Windows laptop would perform as well 5 years from now as I expect my Mac to for the same dollar amount.
You never know what Windows is going to do. You don't know when Windows 11, what are we on, Windows 10? You never know. You don't know when Windows 11 is going to come out. You don't know how badly it's going to mess up your programs.
Yep.
You don't know what the drivers are ever going to do. You don't know this. You don't know that. But with Apple, that's one
But
thing.
in not knowing, I know
Right.
that I'm not going to know.
That's one thing I can always say about Apple. You know if you buy an Apple device,
It's quality.
you're going to get, it's quality. You know you're going to get an OS update every year. Every year you're going to get an OS update. You know when it's going to happen. You know you're going to find out about it in June. It's going to come out in September. It happens the same way every year. You know that your device, like this, is going to get probably another 6 or 7 updates. Your laptop is going to get every update that comes out for the next 6 or 7 years at least. Phones are the same way. You have a lot more. You know what to expect.
If I didn't have other Apple products that I have used for years prior, I would have stuck with what I know for laptops. and I would have likely bought myself a Dell, or I've had very limited success with HP, but I probably would have went with a Dell XPS, right? I would have spent the money, and I would have been like, I hope I eventually get my money out of it, and it's kind of like rolling the dice, right?
Yeah. You know, Steve Jobs, he said something a long time ago that I've always remembered. He said in one of his keynotes, he said something like, people that want, or how did he say it? People that want to have successful hardware should make their own software. And
I think that's cool.
that hits it right on the head.
Yeah.
When you buy a Windows machine, you know, an HP, you're paying for the shell. Mm-hmm. Everything else is you know, Intel, AMD, Microsoft, Logitech.
Lots of different vendors.
Yeah. With this is an Apple-made machine, and now that they're doing the chips themselves and not even relying on Intel anymore, it's 100% a pure. There's nothing else in there except something that Apple made here in the U.S. or here in California or wherever they make it. But it's an Apple machine.
Absolutely. And that's how we start talking about Linux for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, you have Apple.
I don't know much about Linux.
I was going to say, I don't know a whole lot either, but starting in this new department and working in IT, I've been learning about it a lot. Now, I just started working like 6 months ago in IT. I'm going to college for it, so I'm learning very slowly, but I am learning. So, and I also dabbled in it when I was younger, too. I had an uncle who used to work for a company, and everything they did was based off of Linux.
So, question as you're getting into this, why would one want to use Linux versus something else?
Because the Penguin logo is way better than everybody else's logo.
So there's thousands of versions of Linux out there. If somebody wanted to use it, it'd most likely be somebody who's writing code, a developer of a program, something like that. And the reason why, in that Steve Jobs quote that you said, is if somebody wants their machine to run well, they create their own software for that machine. So like in Microsoft software, so Windows software, now our director in the department that I'm in, we were talking about it a little bit, and I was asking the same question. So I'm gonna steal his words from him, and I'm also gonna butcher them, and then I'm gonna reserve them out to you guys.
Heck yeah, feed me, Mama Bird, feed me.
So what he was telling me was, in Windows, if you're writing code with Windows, or if you go into Command Prompt or PowerShell, and you give your computer a command to do this, say, hey, I want you to do this, it's going to go to Microsoft. It's going to say, hey, am I allowed to do this? If you're not allowed to, if it doesn't allow you to do it, or if it throws something off within like the CPU, which is like the brain of the computer, they're just going to say, hey, no, we can't do it, and we're going to do it this way instead. So we're going to have to take this route instead of going this route. Like, think of it like this. This is a rock. You want to get to here. You can either go this way, this way, this way. There's a bunch of other paths and little things that Microsoft puts in itself. Then here's this side, Linux, and this side is just completely open. So Linux is an open source thing. Nobody owns Linux. There's creators of Linux. You have Linux Mint, you have Ubuntu, and those are the only two I know off the top of my head.
There's something called Linux OSB.
Yep, so there's that too.
Boom, I contributed, I'm done.
So there's a bunch of different versions of it. Anyways, it being open source, meaning there's an open area for you to flow through and write code to. Now, if I'm getting this wrong, say otherwise, but Microsoft has its own. It has its own obstacles that you have to go around. So you write code for this, and then you run into all of this. But Linux, you're writing code. You say, hey, I want my computer to do this, this, and this. It'll just do it without asking any questions, without limiting you. So that's why somebody would want to use Linux over that. Another reason why is, say you have an older computer, right? You got a 10-year-old Windows computer running around. Microsoft likes to put in a lot of its own things, saying like, hey, this has to go on during startup. Now you can disable, startup items on Windows and stuff like that.
Startup is super long.
But there's a lot of bloatware. Now, I'll tell you, the startup...
Not on your machine. No, not on my machine at all.
The startup on the computer that I just built is like instantaneous. I got a 2 terabyte NVMe, so it's literally, instead of a SSD with a cable going to the motherboard, it's literally directly mounted onto the motherboard. So that thing boots up like I've never seen a computer boot up before.
You got a lot of bandwidth doing that.
Yes, yeah. I think it's like a 10 gig throughput, at least.
That's a lot.
I could be underrating it, but it's at least 10 gig throughput. So anyways, So yeah, that's why somebody would choose Linux. But you put Linux on a 10-year-old computer, it's going to run like you just got the computer because there's not a lot of bloatware going on behind it. It's
There's
just,
not a lot of checks and balances asking for permission and checking in with people at the gate to open the gate, close the gate, go through the gate.
Exactly. Linux is you turn it on, it comes on, and it does what you say. Now, if you don't know how to write code, and if you don't know basic like command prompt lines, it can be kind of hard to navigate through because like if you want to download a program that's a little more foreign. So like say you want to download Chrome. You can do that. You can pull it off. They offer a Linux version. But say you want to download something like Ableton Live. You have to go on, you have to find this, and you have to use command line to download it to there. So that's the reason why I got into it for a little bit and then I stopped using it because I didn't understand it that well, you know, because like if I wanted to download a program, they'd be like, hey, you got to use command line and then here's this. And then you can, 9 times out of the 10, people have done it before, so you're able to copy and paste everything in and say like, open this .exe file. Now it's not a .exe, it's something else because it's Linux form.
It has a different extension. I got
So
you.
I've messed with like Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, so that's like a Linux
It's
OS.
like a Linux OS. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I've messed with that for like emulators. And
Dude,
it's,
Raspberry Pis are awesome.
Those things, for how small they are, they're super powerful.
Yeah.
You can do a
Absolutely.
lot of
you
stuff
can
with
buy
those.
a kit at Target now. I couldn't believe they sell it, but at Target you can buy a kit that has you can buy a case and the motherboard
Right, right.
and another kit and just build it yourself at home.
There's these people, I want to do this on my car. There's these people who are buying Raspberry Pis. You're going to find this interesting, Rob. That they buy a Raspberry Pi, they hook up a microphone to it, a little command prompt,
I've seen this.
and then they hook it to their starter. So you can walk up to your car, and then you install a voice recognition software on there.
I've seen
You walk up to your car, so you could say, "Hey Siri," there goes my phone, or you could say, "Hey whatever." So if you name your car like Caitlin, you'd be like, "Hey Caitlin, ready to go for a ride?" Your car will crank
That's
up.
cool. I've
Can,
seen that.
can I name my truck Kit and talk to it like I'm Knight Rider?
Exactly.
I'm Michael
dude.
Knight, y'all.
Or if, man, how cool would that be to show up to a car show and you see Kirby, the little bug. You're like, hey, Kirby, you ready to go for a ride? Boom, car cranks up.
I want to look at my truck and just be like, I'm Batman. And it starts. That's cool. I came across Raspberry Pi. Somebody turned me, a coworker of mine turned me on to Pinterest. I didn't Pinterest like 4 years ago. I didn't know what Pinterest was. And she turned me on to it, mostly to find recipes. Dude, you can find every recipe
Everything.
on the planet. And she's like, no. You can type in anything you want. Basically, treat it like Google. And I was like, okay. And so when you leave it open for me like that, I don't really know what to do. When kind of like video games where it's an open world and you don't give me quests, I don't know what to do.
Okay.
As I'm diving into Pinterest, it has this thing for this Raspberry Pi, and because Raspberry Pi sounds like food, and I'm searching
You
for
clicked on it.
desserts because I'm a fat kid. This thing shows up for Raspberry Pi, and dude, when you talk about going down rabbit holes,
Oh, yeah.
like I will open page after page after page, and I will be like 6 topics away from what I initially was looking at. Right?
So think, you can open about 50 pages on your iPad. You probably do 150 pages on your MacBook Pro.
The other day when I that's totally different. Yeah, I probably had like 40 pages open. I've saved all of them. I haven't looked at half of them. But I looked at this Raspberry Pi thing, and it was super duper like
I've got one
as
at home.
small as my phone.
Yeah, it's
Right.
And so maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think the language that they code in is
Mine's
called
like that big.
Python.
Yeah,
I think?
Python.
Okay,
Mhm.
which I don't know anything about. But I looked at this thing for like a couple hours, and for like a few $100, like mad cheap for what the hardware is and all these I/O ports, I was like, this little thing can do pretty much whatever you program it to
Yeah.
do. Like if I wanted to open my fridge at 6 a.m., I could, with some actuators, program this little box to sit on my refrigerator and open the refrigerator at
Yeah,
6
a lot
o'clock.
of that HomeKit stuff you can power with the Raspberry Pis. Raspberry Pi, when I first got into it, all people used them for was emulators.
Emulators, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
So I've got one at home, and I always forget that I have it because the only thing I don't like about it is, and I could probably fix it if I added a switch to it, but you have to keep it plugged in. Mine, you have to keep it plugged in. Otherwise, like there's no way to turn it off. So Yeah, what I meant to say is you have to unplug it to turn it off. You can't just switch it off. But mine has like every game from every retro system.
When you plug it in, since there's no on or off, when you plug it in, does it automatically boot?
Yeah, so mine has like mine's older. I got it like 5 years ago now, but mine is like half the size of my phone, and it's got 4 USB.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're 2.0 slots, but it's got 4 USB inputs, so you can plug in a USB gamepad, or if you had a Bluetooth adapter, you can power up a Bluetooth gamepad as well.
Right.
And yeah, you plug it in, and it's got it's cool. It's got like a custom Legend of Zelda boot animation.
That's awesome.
So it comes up, and then it has a menu where you can pick like, it has Nintendo, Dreamcast, PlayStation, Nintendo 64.
How do you play it? Like, do you have
So,
an
like-
HDMI out?
Yeah, so it has HDMI out.
Okay.
So it has 4 USB ports. It has the power which is micro USB. It has an HDMI output. I think that's all it has.
And you can configure it when you buy it too, right? You could now you could say, oh, I want to come with like 3 USB-C ports, and right?
Yeah, mine I bought from a guy that was just selling them because I didn't know how to build them back then. I really don't know how to build them still. But
It doesn't have an onboard hard drive. Like, that's what your USB is. You just have an external hard drive?
You can plug in. It has a micro SD card.
Oh, that's solid. That's
yeah,
awesome.
you can put a micro SD card in.
Considering how much space those things are getting these days, like
Yeah.
So
that's
you could
that's
get a
good.
500 gig SD card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mine's got
that's solid.
Mine's got like a 128 in it, and it has every game
Right.
that I need it to have.
That's dope, dude. I like
So
that.
It's cool. Every once in a while, I'll plug it in for the kids to mess around with, but it's fun.
That's fun.
Keep
All right.
those old games going through the family.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, man, we play a lot of retro games in the house. Lyric has been really getting into like the old Sonics and
The one game we talked about on like the first podcast, Somebody's Night Out, whatever the game was, where he was a fox or whatever. And he,
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah,
no,
there you
I
go.
can't let him play that because it's got like beer drinking and cursing and.
I might not remember the name of the game, but I most certainly remember that I've never heard of it, never played it, thought it was a made-up game,
The game is
and then
funny
got educated it was
because
real.
it's like toilet humor. Like it's really not like he could play much worse things. Like he could play Grand Theft Auto. Like I'd rather him play Conker's Bad Fur Day than that. But it's just funny looking at a cartoon squirrel, and he's got like a beer in his hand, and he's like peeing on the grass. It's just random toilet humor.
I'm very certain that I've never played anything close to that in any of my gaming days.
And then the whole story is about a panther that dropped this glass of milk, and that's the whole game.
Until I actually looked it up when you were talking about it, I really thought that you were going to pull my leg as far as you possibly could and be like, dude, why would they make a game like that? I totally made it up. And I'd be like, I knew
No,
it.
It's actually a game.
I was blown away that it was a real game.
All right.
So thanks for asking about my extremely expensive hardware that
All
I've
right. So
read Facebook with.
Before
Thanks.
we transition over into our next topic, shout out to those of you that are watching the
Holler.
live stream. Thanks for tuning in with
Yo,
us
yo,
tonight.
yo.
We definitely appreciate y'all tuning in. Those of you that are watching on YouTube later down the road,
Holler
make
at YouTube.
sure- please subscribe. We need you to subscribe. That is super important. I think we have like 3 or 4 subscribers. I would like to get to like 25 by the time we do our next podcast. That's a
that.
solid goal.
True that.
So please share it. Please subscribe. That's the only way we're going to grow our audience. We're relying on you. And shout out to those of you that are listening audio only. Y'all are the hardest ones to get to commit to our podcast because you're not seeing the video part of it. You're only listening to the audio. So those of you that are hardcore and listening audio only, thank you for checking us out. And the way you can help us is by leaving a 5-star review in our podcast. That way we can get into the ratings because right now we're like so far out that we're not even in. We're not even on the radar. So if you're listening audio only, please take a second, give us a 5-star, nothing less, because it won't help us. If you don't like it, then don't leave us a review at all.
If you don't like it, write us and help us improve.
Yeah, help us improve.
I'll totally tailor it to you within reason.
But yeah,
100%.
5-star review on audio only. That will really, really help us. Thank you guys so much.
Solid.
All right, we are now going to transition into Christ culture talk.
Christ culture.
Christ culture. I don't know why I did that.
Because it
I
needs
dig
a segue.
Dig it.
Dig it.
Dig it. Macho Man? Is that what you were doing? Yeah. Okay. We got to do the mega powers. We didn't do it all the way. We got to do it all the way. They get like a...
Oh my goodness.
For those of you on audio, you have to be an old school wrestling fan to even understand what just happened.
Okay, can we real quick? I have to. How high was the Macho Man at any time when he did a promo?
Oh, dude. But the thing was, is like I was a kid when I watched it. I was like 8 to 12 years old when the height of all of that was going on. And I never, I knew that they were talking smack, but some of his things, dude, where he's just like this and he's like, oh, yeah, and the Macho Man is coming to town, dig it. And I'm like, you didn't say anything, bro, but you were super intense. He'd be like if you had an Uncle Vinny who was in Vietnam for ever and he came back and he was sketched out and all he does is stare through the TV while you're at his 11 o'clock and he doesn't ever really stare at you until he's done with what he's saying and then he just stares at you.
Dude, I saw the funniest meme. I think I shared it on Facebook.
Oh,
it was from, the Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Bonesaw?
Spider-Man Bonesaw?
The original, the first Spider-Man, the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Bonesaw, the Macho Man.
Oh, yeah, where he gets the money. Yeah. Okay, I'm like, Bonesaw. Yes, totally. I'm
the
on
meme
the,
was
I'm on
like
the right
a guy, and he's like, man, I can't, it's 5:37, I can't, and he gets off at or it's 5:57, he gets off at 6. He's like, oh man, it's 5:57, and then the other screen is the Macho Man, it's Bonesaw, and he's like, you're not going nowhere. I got you for 3 minutes.
I just love the movies because Bruce Campbell makes these little appearances. And I think, this is just me, you can disagree if you want, Bruce Campbell is the most awesome B-list actor ever. Yeah. I could go, side note, we should have Bruce Campbell conversation one night for at least 30 minutes.
Okay. We'll do that with Cars.
Do you know who Bruce Campbell is?
No, but I'll do my research.
You should go watch Army of Darkness.
Tell him it's a song.
Evil Dead.
It's a song.
Like Eleanor Rigsby, but Bruce Campbell.
Gotcha.
It's on the B side of one
We
of
asked
the Beatle
Matt
albums.
if he had heard the song, y'all are going to love this, Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. And this man asked us if that was a movie.
That was a movie. And I also understood that Matt did not ever watch Say Anything or Breakfast Club.
Dude, honestly, I've watched The Goonies, and that's about it, and Cars when I was little. Other than that, I haven't really watched any movies. I've watched Central Intelligence. That's one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Have you ever watched Better Off Dead with John Cusack?
Oh no, I've never even heard of that.
You never skied the K-12.
Have you heard John Cusack?
No. Is that an artist? No offense to John Cusack if he's watching.
He is watching. John Cusack called me earlier today on the phone.
I'm done.
And he said, yo, can't wait for your podcast. Make sure you give me a shout out.
Really? Oh, man.
I thought you were
Is he
excellent
like
at Con
a
Air.
famous guy?
Yeah, he's a famous actor.
Like The Rock famous?
No, probably not.
Probably not as famous as The Rock.
Like Adam Sandler? I've watched a lot of Adam Sandler's movies. I like a lot of those.
The Rock?
The Rock's been in a
We're
lot
still
of
going to
movies.
do our Christ culture talk, but hold up. The Rock started out with some really lame roles.
He was the Tooth Fairy. Did you ever see that movie with The Rock?
No, I skipped the
I've
tooth.
seen that one. That one's a good one.
Horrible. Let me rephrase.
I like that one.
Wasn't horrible. It was very
Cheesy.
wholesome, but super cheesy.
For someone who had as many lame roles at first, he's become really legit.
I think this is a lame role for him, but he was in The Rundown. Did you ever see The Rundown?
I saw the rundown.
It was
No.
okay. It was marginally okay.
It was like Walking Tall and any of those other. He was in Gridiron Gang, and that was a really good movie.
I didn't see it.
Gridiron Gang was good. I like Denzel Washington is my favorite actor. Do you know who Denzel Washington is?
No.
Are you being for real?
Look, guys, I'm a lot younger than you.
He had like a whole decade of just like blockbuster movies. Deja Vu.
Deja
Hands
Vu.
down, most favorite Denzel Washington movie, Deja
My
Vu.
last
John Q.
memory of Blockbuster.
John Q was pretty solid too.
I was like 4, and my mom and I were going out. We got a Blockbuster movie, and we returned the Blockbuster movie when I was about 4 years old.
I'm not talking about
never went to a
Blockbuster the
Blockbuster
store. I'm
again.
talking about Blockbuster like mega hit movie.
Oh,
Dude,
th- I
Denzel-
don't-
Help me.
Denzel is one of the most awesome guys.
You could just say Denzel, and people are like, "I know who Denzel is." Boom.
I mean, just as him as a guy.
Yeah.
I saw him do a graduation, commencement, whatever speech, and dude, he was. I love it when. I like when this is kind of Christ culture, but not really, but sort of. I
We're
like
getting
when.
there.
Go there. Go there. I dare you.
I like when people like him, they give a speech like this, and they give reference to God, and you can tell that it's sincere.
Word.
You can tell when it's not, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
You can
don't
tell when it's
don't
just-
sprinkle it in and be crafted.
Yeah,
about
you can
it.
tell like when someone's just like, oh, I gotta get the Lord in here somewhere. So here's the Lord, and now back to me.
Yeah.
But like he gave like a story, and I'm not even gonna try to paraphrase it because I would do it wrong. But you can look up Denzel, or you all are watching. You can look up Denzel Washington graduation speech, and that's what'll come up. And dude, what he said, it was a home run.
Well, it needs to be. They probably paid him $50,000 for a 25-minute speech.
But I mean, I felt like I had just listened to a pastor, pump me up, and I'm ready to go out and like fight some demons.
Dude, there's been some really great commencement speeches by people who I have no idea who they are at like a random, non-Division I school, and they give really inspiring commencement speeches, as it's supposed to be. You're supposed to fire me up and inspire me and be like,
Right.
I totally did something with the $50,000 I spent over the last 4 years.
Okay, so I remember one thing he said. So the first thing he said was the very first thing, before he said anything about himself, was he said, "Whatever you do, do it for God. And whatever you choose to do, whether it's being a pastor or being a farm worker, do it for God."
Amen.
And he was talking about how when he was a kid, he was sitting in his mom's barbershop, and he'd have nothing to his name. He was just sitting there. I think he said he was thinking about going into the military. He was like flirting with that idea, and he said that there was a lady in there, and she looked at him, and she said, "You're going to travel the world and meet millions of people." And he was like, "And I did travel the world, and I have met millions of people." But like everything he said, like he kept coming back to, whatever you do it for God. And you could just, it wasn't like anything crazy. It wasn't like a Sunday morning sermon. It was just that. But you could just tell it was like he was being real about it. It wasn't just like shoehorned in.
That lady, whether she intended to or not, kind of prophesied
Yeah, it was
over
a
his life.
prophetic message. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
dope. I like that.
That's what he was getting at.
That's awesome.
Okay, so out of the sticks, back to our talk. So our topic is that it's not really a topic, but just something to talk about. So our church is moving. It was kind of we found out after the fact that it's been in the works for a little while now. But to us, I think even to you, it was a pretty big surprise. And I remember like a week ago, it was kind of like, we're moving, be on the lookout for a place that we can go to. And then like within 24 hours, we signed the lease. So is this our second move? This is our second move.
Yeah, we call it second move.
We started out in Mount Dora, and we moved here to Eustis, and now we're moving to Mineola. And I'm just going to call it Claremont going forward because it's basically Claremont. So we're moving to Claremont area, And this move is different. It's not like moving from Mount Dora to Eustis, where we're kind of just going down the road, and everybody can get it. You know, everybody's excited because we're moving out of a rental. I mean, we're still renting this place, but we're moving out of a place that we have to set up and break down at every single service, and it's a huge burden on pretty much everybody. And we're moving to a place that we can call ours, that everybody can still go to, and we can be excited about it. And this time, it's kind of like we're moving to this place that's an hour away, that's probably going to be out of reach for a lot of people, and we want to be excited about it, but there's the weight, and I know the weight's on Pastor's shoulders. I can just feel it on him.
You can see it.
Yeah, you can see it. But there's the weight of feeling like, you know, you're letting certain people down that can't commit to the drive. I know we're just in our own band, we're kind of struggling with who's going to be able to make the transition with us. It's just not as like, whoosh, this is what we're doing, and everybody's going, and this time there's a lot more. It's kind of like that analogy you gave, where there's rocks on this side, and it's not as smooth as
I think it's a little, okay, so the first move was from a shared space where we had to set up and break down. And then you go...
It was a rental theater.
Yeah, basically. And that comes with positives. I mean, we didn't have to do any sound equipment. You just bring instruments and plug in, and you're good.
I
right?
enjoyed. I might be the only one, but I actually enjoyed the part where we set up and broke down. There's just something about. I know you didn't because you're the drummer.
I have all kinds of pieces and parts.
But there's just something about. I don't know. There's something about just getting your stuff, setting it up. Feels like you're going to. It reminded me of when I used to go play at different venues, and there was always that excitement about going somewhere and setting your gear up. And
I now open my stick bag. I bust out about 3
I
moon
know.
gels,
It's a
and
lot
I'm like,
it's
why
a
are
lot
you
easier
why
for
are you guys still playing around? Let's go. Plug in, turn it on, and brum, brum, let's go.
Yeah.
I don't
man.
miss that. I don't miss that at all. Lugging it from outside down up the stage.
We
put it
used to
together.
get so excited about shows, man. I think about it, and like I can feel the adrenaline still to this day when we used to go play shows, and we weren't the kind. There were other bands around the area, and they played like every week. They played like every Friday night. We didn't do that. We were fortunate to play like once a month, but really and truly it was like once every other month, just because of scheduling, and we didn't have our crap together as well as a lot of the other bands in our area did. So I feel like for a lot of those bands, they played so often that it was kind of like, okay, it's just another show. But for us, like every time we played, we never asked for money. Like a lot of these other bands were like, okay, we'll come play, but how much are you going to pay us to come play? Like we never asked for money. It was just like, can we come play at your hole in the wall?
Yeah, but for you, the excitement level's different because the way in which you go about it and the frequency of it is different. So to have the opportunity to play, you're going to be excited and feel very fortunate to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas those guys who are doing it more often and for a monetary, that the outlook is different.
Yeah.
I get that.
But yeah, back to the move.
Well, I think what's different the first go around is we went from a shared space, a rented space, where we had to lug equipment. Somebody had to go to the studio to put all that in the trailer. They had to bring it here. We had to offload it.
That was Donnie.
We had to do it.
Shout out to Donnie.
We had to do it and still have time to get mic'd up.
I was gonna say we didn't have much time for a rehearsal back then.
No, not at all. And so it was, hey man, what we have is what we have. And back then, the band wasn't as many pieces as we have. And so if somebody called in sick and they were supposed to lead, we didn't really have a big library to pick from. We used whatever pieces.
I remember the day that you actually became the worship leader. I remember you walked up to us. There was like 10 seconds left on the countdown, and we were playing Sea of Victory. I think it was Sea of Victory, and he walked up to us, and he's like, or audio only. Matt walked up to us, and he's like, I don't remember Sea of Victory at all. Like I don't remember it. I don't remember it at all.
Do you know how many times I show up on a Sunday morning to practice what we're playing and I don't remember what to play? And I'm not talking a new song that I maybe only heard like 3 or 4 times. I'm talking songs that I know and we've played.
Yeah, but
he was like,
I don't even remember how the song starts. I don't even know what the song is. I don't remember it at all.
That's awesome.
And we were like, oh well, we still gotta play it.
We're going to play whatever you play, and we're just going to run with it. And back then, we didn't really necessarily have the words, even though we did, so it didn't matter. Didn't matter.
That was super funny.
I kind of miss moments of that, but the excitement of we have our own building, we don't have to lug all this stuff, we can design it and deck it out the way that we want. We will have a space to do other things throughout the week.
Yeah, we had like a lot of ideas for this place. A lot of them.
Some of those have come to fruition here in the fact that, look at Wednesday night. Wednesday night, I don't remember there being an announcement per se, but we had Wednesday night, and I thought it was just going to be like every once in a while, once a month. I mean, because we did the one thing where we came here and we did nothing but worship for an hour, which was awesome.
That's my favorite memory from this place.
That was my favorite night. But now it's every Wednesday, right? And the youth gets together every Friday. Like, having a dedicated building that's yours, we're sitting here doing this on a Tuesday, you know? Having the opportunity to do things throughout the week at your own dedicated building affords you those opportunities that you wouldn't have at a rented space where you're renting it by the day, by the hour, whatever the deal is. And so there's a lot of cool things that now you can expand upon, whereas those exciting opportunities aren't necessarily as exciting moving from one space of your own to another space of your own. We're not bringing that new aspect with us. We're actually taking that aspect that's been developed and implemented, and we're just transferring it. And so you lose that excitement. You lose the excitement of we don't have to lug all of this stuff every week. Now it's I have to pack all this stuff up and reset it up at the end. It's like, I don't really want to do that. We just got the board queued in. So, I think some of those things that you get moving to your own building from when I say rented, a rented space to your own building that you can use 24/7.
Right. It's not something you can only use on Sunday. And just for an hour.
You've already opened that box. That fresh new smell, that new car smell is gone. That doesn't necessarily transfer over to the new space. However, when you get to the new space, I think about the youth ministry that sits in the sweat box over there that Bobby was like, dude, it's still 90 degrees. The youth now, Matt, you sent that picture the other day where it was 68 degrees and you have this giant smile on your face like, I just busted my butt all day, but I'm chilling because it's 68 degrees. That is something that we can now provide that we don't have. And so those things that this building doesn't have, that the new building will have, dedicated parking, real parking, air conditioning, rooms where we can actually do those things and expand. All the things that this building lacks, that the new building will provide, will be the new, cool, peel it off, smell the new car smell for a little while. Those are positive things. Those are exciting things. Everything else that we want it to be, we already got here. I don't know that we'll ever really be able to tap into that again. Matt, what you got?
What do you got?
He's like, ditto. Mic drop, I'm done.
Agreed. This is it's a huge move for the church. I think it's a huge move in a good way, and I think it's in a way that God is directing us to go into. Like you were saying, whatever you do, do it for God. And I wholeheartedly believe and trust Donnie in the move. I also believe that this is probably in the better, even though it's a longer drive for me, it's a longer drive for a lot of people. Going into the move, I've tried to keep a huge smile on my face, keep everybody positive. But like Donnie says, and it seems like everybody steals this, but it's so true, just be real. I'll be real. I am so excited to move into this new place. Working there for the past, since Friday. Friday is the day that we got the keys. Friday is the day that we started.
Painting.
And today,
It started immediately. There wasn't all right, we got the keys, see you tomorrow. It was like, we got the keys.
I saw pictures that night, and there was at least 12 people.
Get in there and work.
Absolutely. Now, it says in the Bible, whatever you do, do not be anxious in what you are doing. as exciting as all of this is, we're taking our time to do it right. You know, when it comes to painting, all of that, we were in there that day, but we're taking our time and we're doing it right. And we're not being anxious to move in. We're not saying, hey, our turnaround time needs to be a week. You know, we were able to extend that time out and make sure everything is done well and done right. And once you guys go over to that building, as soon as you walk in, you can feel God's presence in there just working instantaneously.
That's awesome.
It is so cool. I mean, as soon as I walked in there, I got chills on my back. It could be because it was 68 degrees in there. No, but, and then our worship team, we're moving. And I'll be straight up honest, I'm afraid we're going to lose some people. You know, you just brought up that story a minute ago about how I came up to you guys literally the day that I was asked to take over the worship team and to lead that. And I walked up and I said, I don't remember the song.
At all. You said at all.
At all. I mean, like, I didn't know what capo I was supposed to be on. I didn't know what the starting chord was going to be. I was literally, didn't know the lyrics. And it was like something that was just, we had to throw together because I believe somebody ended up missing that day. So we had to
We had a lot of moments of that when we were in the community center where we would practice on Thursday.
But it wouldn't end up being that.
It may not necessarily be the most solid, and because of dude, if we had 30 minutes to practice before service, that was being generous.
That was awesome. Absolutely.
That was being really
It was
generous.
normally we were just set up.
And it was
we
time
did
to
about
play.
a 10-second sound check.
And it was
then,
time to go. The
And then
countdown.
There were several
It's time
times
for the
that we
countdown.
didn't.
get sound check.
There were also several times where the arrangement of who was supposed to play what on Thursday didn't play out for Sunday
Changed
because
instantly.
somebody didn't make it, couldn't make it. Fill in the blank with the reason as to why somebody couldn't make it. And it's like, okay, here's who we have. Here's what pieces we have. What do we all know that we can play? I miss sometimes that moment, but then there's times where I'm like, how did we ever do that?
Right.
Dude, it's doing this, the music, and it's not necessarily just worship music, because for me it was the same. And I mean, you could ask Stephen Simons, Stephen Foster, even back in the day when we played in Written in Dust, the commitment level is so high, and
It's because we're here for God.
yeah, it is, but even I don't want to say beyond that, but even in addition to that, it's a huge commitment to commit to doing this music. It's not just something that you can just be like, I like music, so let me go be on this worship team. Like, you really have to be, this is going to sound blunt, but you really have to be kind of all in or all out, really. It's not something that you can really be in between in, because it changes so much from week to week. I feel like in the last several months we've kind of settled in on our core, and we found. I think for a while we were trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and
Agreed.
I think we found what works. And
now we can just build on it. We have a foundation.
Right.
I mean, I remember when I first started, there was no foundation, and it was all over the place. And even when I became worship leader, it was still all over the place for a while. And I truly believe that right now we're just starting to get dialed in. And I believe a year from now, we'll be even more dialed in. I mean, we're no Hillsong worship. I mean, or we're not big like that, But everybody who's on our team is here for the right reasons. Everybody's heart is in the right place. And I'll be straight up, the amount of fellowship that we all have together. I mean, the fact that the three of us can just sit here and talk for, honestly, hours on end and dedicate our time. I know, Rob, you're tired. I mean,
Oh yeah, dude, I'm dragging.
I know you're dragging. I know you had a long day at work. I mean, I came in here.
Honestly, dude, like we've, in our chit chat and whatnot, I get hyped about podcast day.
Right.
Like last Tuesday when it wasn't podcast day, I'm like, sure do wish it was podcast Tuesday.
You text us that. You're like, man, I wish it was podcast Tuesday. It's
Like,
regular Tuesday.
I get excited about this. Don't get me wrong, dude. Like when I plugged through work and I got home and I'm like, I got to take care of the dogs and make dinner. I'm kind of dragging when I get here.
Absolutely.
But I get out of my truck and I hear drums jamming. I'm like, oh, new drummer in the house. And I come in and it's you two guys goofing off. I'm like, this is dope, dude. I like this. Like, I like hanging out with you guys. I like talking with you guys. I don't really feel like in the time that we've all gotten connected and together that we sit searching for something to talk about. The conversation
Flows.
just goes. And sometimes we stick to a topic, and most times we're all over the dang place. But to me, that's fun. Like we always circle back to what we're talking about. But when you're talking about the fellowship of the band, having those moments where on Thursdays we'll go out and share a meal together, it may seem really small, but those moments are cool because when I did that with Mark and with Ricky, I got to learn about who Mark and Ricky are, not just the dudes that I, high-five or pounded home with on Sunday. I actually learned about their walk with God and why they love Jesus and what brought them to that. I got to learn about what they've done for years that I don't know anything about them.
Dude, it's
and
hard.
I do now.
It's hard to get, like, I'll be straight with you guys. It was hard for me. I don't even remember if it was me that initially started this whole thing, like with the Thursday night outings. But it was hard for me to get to that point where I was like, hey, do y'all want to go out to Denny's after practice?
Yeah, I don't
me a
do
while.
that.
It was hard for me to even offer that.
I remember it started with you, and it was when we were at the old location in Mount Dora, and we were having practice on I think we had just swapped to Thursday night. Shoot, we still might have been on Wednesday nights. Remember when we used to meet after youth group? And Josh was asked, like Connor and I, hey, you want to go out to Ruby Street Grill for the evening? And I think you were part of that too, Rob. Or,
No.
Okay.
I missed
you're
it or
bounced out
or-
because you're like, I got to get home to my wife,
Yeah.
And
No, you guys went and did that, and that was awesome. And then some of those Wednesdays we took and we did ice cream.
Yes.
And even that 10 or 15-minute break
I was going to say we'd take a break in the middle.
was a time to just share and fellowship.
Yeah, and it's hard to get to that point because up until that point, you're here to have fun and enjoy each other's company at practice. But at the end of the day, you're here. You know what your purpose is. Like, you're here to practice.
I'll be honest with you. I think I've shared this with you guys. When I'm here, I'm going to put it from a very selfish standpoint, not to say that you guys don't have what you want to do in your own time, because you do. But band day is my longest day because I get up, I go to work, and some days, most days, I don't see my wife because she's not up when I go to work. And I go to work, I come home, I stuff my face for 10 or 15 minutes, I go, and I'm not home until 9:30. That's a 15-hour day. It's a long day for me. By the time I get to band, I want to get down to playing the songs. I don't want to find out about how anybody's day is. I don't want to talk about my day. I want to play the songs and I want to go home. That's being real. And it's mean, but that's where my heart is at some days. But half an hour after we start,
you snap out of it pretty quick.
I do. There's been a lot of Thursdays and Wednesdays, but on band day where my first 30 to 45, I'll just say an hour, 30 to 60 minutes, I'm focused on let's get to playing these songs. I don't chit chat. I don't look up. If people are talking, I'm annoyed, and I honestly and truly just want to finish the set and go home. And there's been pretty good amount of Thursdays where I've done just that very thing. But then there's Thursdays where I come in here and I'm open to it, and I go home and Rhonda's awake, and I will talk a mile a minute for the next 30 minutes if she lets me,
we do.
because I'm so filled and high by what I got here that I can't keep it all in.
Me and Becca have had that happen recently, and like me and Becca are for the last 5 years have been home with each other pretty much all the time. Mm-hmm. So we don't always have a lot of deep conversations because we're in each other's presence all the time. So we have like little conversations, and sometimes she'll get annoyed with me and be like, you're not listening, but because that's how my mind goes a million miles an hour, nonstop, all the time. My mind does not like to be shut down. Even when like I don't even sleep. I can't remember the last time I slept like 8 hours. And it's not because the kids wake me up. I mean, they do. But like I normally only sleep between 4 and 5 hours a night. That's just by the time I'm up
I
late.
know you only sleep 4 or 5 hours because I'll wake up some
There you
mornings
go.
and Discord will say, you have 13 notifications,
Yeah.
or the band app will be going on till like 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, what do you people talk about?
But like,
When do you sleep?
I'll get home sometimes from a night that's had a lot of activity, and yeah, I'll do the same thing. I will go for 45 minutes or to an hour sometimes.
Or just talking. That's the
those-
best time.
And those are good conversations because they'll lead into like it won't always just be me telling her about my day. It'll lead into, hey, well, how was your day?
It becomes a real discussion, a real conversation.
Yeah, and it's nice because we don't have that all the time.
You know, when I think about the fellowship and when you guys had offered about, hey, man, you know, after band or whatever it was that we were doing, you know, what do you think about going out to Denny's afterwards? It's like, okay. I don't do, like, truth be told, I don't do that, right? If people want to invite me to do something, if I have to do something to spend time in someone else's life, I find lots of excuses as to why I can't,
Yeah, me
why
too.
I won't,
I do
and
too.
why I don't want to. I got to go home and I got to let the dogs out. I got to go home because I got to be up at 6 a.m. You know, and they're legit reasons, but I'm making those more important.
Yeah, you
than-
could go.
Oh, I
but
could.
you just-
I
you
could.
just-
Absolutely. It's in those moments where I have made myself do it that I've never been disappointed. I've actually enjoyed it very much. And you would think that it would remind me enough that the next time somebody says, hey, man, do you like to eat, right? Heck yeah, I do. Do you want to come out and get some food with us and just hang out? You know. I honestly and truly, like when we went and, when did we all end up at Denny's?
We've been at Denny's a few times.
When Ricky and all them were there.
Oh,
and-
that was after Impact,
yeah.
and I was so high on excitement.
I was
night.
I was super high on excitement
could've
because
stayed out till 4
we
o'clock
ended
in
up
the
having
morning
that last minute jam session with those kids, and they were awesome.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, Impact was awesome by itself, but that being the end moment of just sticking around and experiencing that, like, and then I would say we closed Denny's, but it's a 24-hour Denny's, kind of hard to close it. But
We were there till like 12:01.
we were there super late. We were the late kids, right? Like,
I'm so glad that we got that Impact in before. That
All
was
this.
like on the eve of COVID,
yeah.
and
In
that was
those-
a powerful night.
in those fellowship moments to go out and learn stuff about you guys, if I didn't invest in that, I wouldn't be here because we would have never, you guys might be here, a different third person might be here, but I would have missed out on it. I'd be watching it instead of experiencing it.
Dude, I have been. I don't know if I told you, but I know I told Matt. I have been floating this podcast for no joke 6 or 7 years, and it's always. I even tried it once by myself, and it's always been. I don't want to do it myself. I want a couple others, but
Carrying it that's a big carry to do it by
there's
yourself.
nobody that I trust enough. Like I trust you guys enough to have you on this show, which this show is nothing major, but it's important to me.
That's all that matters.
And
Agreed.
I know when I once again was thinking like, you know what, I think I want to try this podcast. Y'all two were the first two that I thought of.
I'm pretty sure we could sit here and talk about anything we want. We could come in here on podcast night, not have any topic to talk about, and easily fill 2 hours without there being awkward cricket silence. I'm certain
Absolutely.
of that.
Absolutely.
I-
And
We
if
didn't have
had-
much of a schedule
I was
tonight.
gonna say if we had some of that pizza there with that cinnamon crust again, man,
Oh.
shoot, we go like 4 or 5 hours.
We had you were radio silent yesterday, but
I was.
Matt and we had no schedule up till like this time last night, and we kind of just threw together like, let's talk about foldables. Let's talk about his computer that he bought. Like we spent like 45 minutes talking about your computer.
We talked 45 minutes on how to spend $2,000 wisely.
All All right. Any last thoughts? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up because we're
Yeah.
at 2 hours.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
And I'm going to get personal for a minute, and I may take up a minute.
Okay, that's
I may
fine.
take up 10 minutes, I may take up 1 minute. We'll
If
see
it's
where
important
it
to you,
goes.
go ahead.
Yeah, go.
But going back to what you were saying a second ago, Rob, if you didn't indulge in those things, go into Denny's or something like that, you would have missed out. That day, and I think I've shared it with you, Josh. I don't know. I don't even know if I've shared it with somebody. I might have. So if I did, you can stop me.
Share it again if you.
But that day, everybody, including myself, was late. That day, there were so many things that went wrong. I remember that morning, I got halfway to the church, already running like 10, 20 minutes behind, got halfway there. Donnie's already standing out there ready to bring everything in. I get a call from him, hey, Matt, when you going to be here? I was like, oh, I'm sorry, we're running 10 minutes late. I'll be there soon.
What day was this?
This was a just Sunday service. This is when I came up to you guys and said, hey, I forgot the chords completely
Oh,
to this
okay.
song.
Okay. So this is over there.
Yes, this is back at
Okay.
the community building. So it's tied in. This is the day that I came up. This was the day where everything went down for me. I was asked to be the worship leader. I was late to the service. I completely botched the song. And I get halfway there. I'm over halfway there. Donnie's there asking me where I am. And I get a call from him. I say, hey, I'll be right there. I call him back like 10 seconds later. Hey, Donnie, I forgot the keys. I got to turn around, go home, grab my keys, come back. I'm going to be 45 minutes late. I am so sorry. And they still asked me to be worship leader. What in the world? What were they thinking? But, so I finally get there. Almost everybody's there. I open up the building. So I was working at this building. This is a building, a theater in Mount Dora that I worked at. So we go, and I'm running around. I have to mix sound that day. I don't know if Ricky was there or not. I think he was. But I had to mix sound. I had to play a couple of songs. I was playing acoustic guitar, which is probably my strongest instrument. I'm not super strong on vocals. Practicing. I can get around on keyboard, but guitar is what I'm confident in. And the fact that I completely lost what we were playing was just mind-blowing. Anyways, I'm running around, and I'm thinking, man, and we're getting ready to move locations. We're getting ready to come to this building. It was something that was already talked about. And I had two options. I was really afraid to join the church. Just to be straight up, I was afraid to ask to come just practice on a Wednesday night. I really like to separate my work from my personal life. And at that time, this was just work to me. I had to come in, do a job, and then go home. So I'm running around. I just joined the worship team. I've been on it for about 3-4 months now, right? Mixing sound, getting ready to move new locations. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I'll just be straight up and honest. I think I'm going to leave the worship team. I think I am going to, once they move locations, I think I'm going to step down. I'm going to continue my work here. And it was a fun joyride for about 6 months. I really enjoyed getting to pick up a guitar again. Mind you, I'm still not the worship leader. Somebody else is, and I'm just following. Bobby was our worship leader. So we get through the morning. Bobby comes up to me and goes, Matthew, you okay? Are you all right? We're backstage, and I'm running around like, dude, I got to get batteries. I'm like, there's like a minute left on the countdown. I still have to get with these guys and pray. I was like, dude, just let me do my thing real quick. He goes, no. He's like, stop. He's like, you're not acting like yourself, Matthew. I was like, no, I'm not acting like myself. I got to go. I got to get this stuff done. Completely, because normally I was the calm guy in the group. I believed, and I was the guy who always said, hey, yes, we can do that. But today I was feeling like, oh, man, no, we can't do this. And that was the day where I said, I'm either going to leave the worship team and tell them today at the end of service, because I think it was coming up to our last Sunday. Maybe we had one more week, or I was going to go all in. So we get up there. What we play was probably one of our best sets of that time. It's like, wow, this is really cool. And as soon as we started playing, as soon as Bobby prayed us in, all my anxiety went away. And I'm still sitting there, though. I'm like, maybe I'll hop out. It was a fun time. Then we all go out into the lobby. I don't know why. We finished up the set. Very few mistakes. It was, like I said, one of our best ones. And we're sitting around there. Bobby goes, hey, I'm stepping down from the worship team, you know.
I remember this. Now that you talk about having that meeting out in the lobby, we didn't do that. Normally we go and we sit and we listen to service. We did that one time. I totally remember the day you're talking about.
Yeah, so normally we would always sit through service, listen to Donnie, because we just thought that was really important. For whatever reason, we stepped out, though, you know, and we were talking. Bobby said, hey, I'm going to step down as worship leader. I'm going to be moving to youth because that's where I feel like I'm called to be, and that's where I feel like my ministry is going to be. And Bobby, if you're watching this, dude, you're doing an awesome job with youth group.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
growing like crazy. Just the other day, he came up here, and there were like 30, 40 kids standing on the stage. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
where did everybody come from? I was like, that's awesome. Anyways, I was torn between two things, and I wasn't sure what I was going to pick. You know, and I thought I was going to say, hey, thank you, bye, guys. And Bobby goes, Matthew, we want you to lead the worship team. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, like, I am the most unqualified, not organized as I should be. Now, I was, you know, feeding him ideas when he was leading worship. Hey, maybe try this, maybe try that. But it was only because I knew how to do things because of the job that I was in. And I was used to helping out with people running concerts and stuff like that. I was used to that. And once I started playing on the worship team, I didn't look at it as a concert anymore. But before I joined the worship team, I always looked at it as this is just another show that I have to do. So long story short, Bobby asked me to become the worship leader, and God told me to say yes. So I said yes, and that's when I went all in. And I hope that I've lived up to that all in that I promised myself and that I promised to God and to the team since then. I'll be honest, this has just became a straight family to me. Going to this new location, I'm super sad to lose Connor, but I'm hoping that we all keep a connection. But I think there's something here, just being in all honesty, like I love our team. Like I said, we're no Hillsong Worship. We're no huge group that gets to play a concert and gets to travel the world. But we all have the same heart. We're all like a family now. And I don't know, I think that's so cool. Like I've never had that before in my life, ever. I mean, like I have a family, but I've never had a church
Amen.
family like this before. People that I can turn to when I struggle. I've never had something like my parents, you know, they're awesome, great parents. You know, if I'm struggling with something like, hey, I'm having a hard time with my algebra homework. My dad's an engineer. I could turn to him for that. But I've never been able to really turn for advice for something like this for. So to have this family here to help me grow in my faith and then me to return that favor to. When they asked me to be the worship leader, I didn't look at it as a worship leader position. I just looked at it as somebody who could, and I still look at it to this day, as just somebody who can help kind of keep things organized. Because there's no leader in all of this, you know? Josh, you're just as much of a worship leader as I am. Rob, you're just as much as a worship leader as I am. You know, it says in the Bible that worship is the highest form of praise you can give God.
Amen.
And my favorite thing every Thursday and every Sunday is when I look over to give Rob a cue, and he's just straight in the Word, arms up, and playing drums just with one arm.
That's it.
And I think that's what we have to live for every Sunday. So going to this new place. Go ahead, Rob.
I play with one hand because I watched Def Leppard as a kid.
So
If you don't get that joke, you should watch some Def Leppard videos. It'll hit you at some point.
So anyways, last thing I'll say is going to this new location, I'm more than excited. And I just hope that we can continue to grow as a family because I love each and every person on the team, like with a love that I've never had for anything or anybody before. A love that I didn't even know existed until I knew God. So, yeah, I just hope.
So I have to riff off of that. I have a story I'll share, if y'all don't mind.
That was a cool perspective.
It was.
I didn't
was.
know probably about a good 35% of that's where you were at.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
So
But yeah, let's hear it, Josh.
You don't know about any of this,
Dang, I'm going to have to take notes.
and
Hit me.
you probably know a little bit, but not everything.
About 2% probably.
But I want to share it now that you said all that. So before we started coming here to New Wave, we were going to what's now known as Grace City. And I know I've shared that story of we were church hopping for a while. We weren't going to church for a while. And Donnie had plugged in me coming here before the church had even started. Like before it was even, when it was just an idea, he was asking me to come on board. And I strayed away from it for a while. Because I just didn't feel right about it. I didn't feel like it was good timing, or I wanted something. It was a selfish desire. I wanted something out of it. And I remember when we actually committed to coming here, part of it was because I was offered to get something out of it. When we met with Donnie originally, we met him at his house. Me and Beck, we took the kids over. We hadn't seen Donnie and Sandy in a long time. It was our first time seeing them in quite a while. And we're family, so that should tell you how off we are at that time. Hadn't seen each other in a long time. But we sat down and we started talking about it. And when I left his house that night, I left under the impression that I was either going to eventually become the worship leader or the youth pastor. That was what I left thinking that night. And I was cool with that. I was like, because I was thinking selfishly, like I want something out of it. I don't want to just go and serve the Lord. I want to gain something out of it. And I remember that day when we sat outside, and Bobby said that he was going to step down. And I remember this. I remember Megan asking if they had someone in mind, and Bobby said that they did. And I remember thinking in my mind that they were thinking of me. Like I thought that. I was like, they're thinking of me. They're going to pick me. And I'm be 100% transparent. I remember being upset when they didn't. Like I was upset that they didn't pick me at that time. And fast forward a few days, or in a few weeks, it was a few weeks after that. I remember there was a week where you were going to be out. You were still going to be at the church, but you were running sound, and you left it up to me that week. And I think that was the week that Lyric played too. I can't remember.
That was an awesome set. I liked that.
Yeah. After the service, you came up to me. I don't know if you remember this, but you came up to me and you said something like, "You did an awesome job. I think you should be the one leading this, and I'm going to tell Donnie." I remember you saying that. I don't know if you remember saying that, but I remember you saying that. And I was excited. I was excited. I was like, this is what I wanted. This is what I came here to do, and now I'm going to get it, and go me. And I even texted you that day, and I was like, hey, do you want to go to lunch and talk about this? And you said, yeah. And I went home that day thinking that I was going to take over.
That was when we went to Starbucks.
Yeah.
I remember that. Man, there's some memories being pulled up.
No, we didn't end up going. Something kept coming up.
You're right.
We went to Starbucks when you
But that was
first.
before.
Yeah. Yeah. We were going to meet up to finalize this. And something came up the first time, and you couldn't make it. And then we rescheduled. And something came up again the following time. And it was, dude, it's weird. It was during those two times that we got rescheduled that I realized that it wasn't about me, it wasn't supposed to be about me, and that you were the right person to be doing what you're doing. Like, it was during those moments that it clicked for me, and I'm glad that I'm glad that you're the one they picked. I am. I think you've done a phenomenal job.
Word.
To see how you've grown over the year, you've done a better job than I could have. Like, I'm being 100% for real. Like that week that we had a total meltdown, I was on the board that week, and I don't think it would have happened if you were here. So, I think you've done a great job. I'm glad now that things happened the way they did, and yeah, I'm excited about what's going to happen in the next year.
I don't know how to follow that up, but I don't have cool, deep stories other than we went out for ice cream and Denny's and got pancakes.
That's fun too.
Yeah, but this seems so shallow because both of you guys are like, I'm going to share real moments, and you're sharing like real, raw emotion and ideas and reality of like, I didn't know that Matt had that conflict of, am I going to go or am I going to go all in? And I didn't know that you were going to be in charge. Like, the only story I got is we went out to dinner with Donnie and Sandy just to feel out who they were because we didn't know them. And because Donnie and Sandy are involved with tons of different people and they're there for people, like our dinner got postponed 3, 4, half a dozen times. And like we finally sat down and we're just hearing about who they are and where they came from. And Donnie's like, we'd love to record our own music and we'll get a drummer someday. And I was like, if you need a drummer, I play around. Like, I'd be happy to come and play until you find somebody better. And dude, do you no lie? Like, Facebook told me a week or two ago that I had my first, what I would call my drum interview, where I just showed up at practice, and the 3 songs that they were going to play that Sunday, I knew none of them. I didn't know the beat. We were in that tiny studio, and I didn't want to play super loud, and so like I didn't really play. I sucked. I sucked bad. I basically looked like I played trumpet in middle school band, and there was an open chair to play the drums, and I was like, oh, I totally know what I'm doing.
It's not trumpet, but I'll give it a try.
Leon played drums better on Sunday than I did in my interview to play drums, and yet here I sit. Actually, Facebook told me this morning was the first day I was actually on stage to play for worship. Last year, today, I played Cajon. And
No way.
Yeah.
Happy 1 year.
Thank you. Happy 1 year for performance. And yet here I sit, and when we saw New Wave at the 4th of July parade, July of 2019, I would have never told you that this is where I would be right now.
On a podcast.
On a podcast with real friends that I made while playing drums in the worship band at church. I would have
But
told
you wish you were playing trumpet.
No, not at all. Not at all. I would have told you that I would be down there front like Rhonda and I are front row Christians. The only reason we didn't sit front row in Mount Dora is because the Vimo was there, and I don't want you staring at my bald spot in the back of my head, right? It's like, that's
You have a
weird.
bald spot?
I got a thinning spot. I'm almost 40 years old, dude. Like, it's thinning out. But I would tell you that Rhonda and I would be front row Christians, hands up, digging into worship, and I would be happy greeting people on a Sunday saying, welcome to New Wave, right? If you ask me where I see myself, that's where I would have seen myself. And I'm thankful that for some reason that door was open to me and that I was bold enough to take that opportunity. And I will be very thankful that actually Steven showed up as the bassist the same day I showed up as the drummer.
Yeah, I
right?
remember that.
First day. I'm thankful that Bobby and Mandy loved on me enough to say, don't worry about it. It's all good. We'll grow in this together. We got you.
That's right.
Come back next week. I remember coming home and Rhonda's all super excited, like, how did it go, honey? And I'm like, I sucked. I sucked bad. She's like, oh, it can't be that bad. I'm like, oh, no, trust me. It's bad. But you know what?
You're still here.
They want me to come back next week. They loved on me. They didn't trash on me. They encouraged me. Like, they want me back next week. If it wasn't for that, if I didn't get that affirmation from them, if I didn't get that support, we might not even have came back. Like, it was bad. It was real bad.
It wasn't that bad.
It was bad, dude. I assure you.
I felt like my first day was bad.
Do you know my first not? So I played Cajon for 2 weeks on stage. My first actual drum kit performance on Sunday live. Do you know I got like 2 hits in on the hi-hat and I lost my stick?
No way.
I think I had a real drumstick, and the first thing I grabbed was one of the hot rods, and so I'm playing with a real drumstick and a hot rod for I don't even remember what the song was.
I didn't even have a guitar. I didn't even have a guitar when I came here. Like, I didn't own one. I didn't have a guitar at all.
Oh, that's right.
And that was one of the
You're
reasons.
playing the studio guitar, right?
There was the white. There was the
Studio
white
didn't have a
electric.
guitar either. I didn't have the guitar, and there was no guitar for me to
Donnie
play.
had just bought the white electric, whatever.
No, Josh bought the Telecaster. You were playing something.
I had a black LTD
Yeah.
that when we were over at Donnie and Sandy's house that night.
Was it black? I thought maybe
It was
I thought
black.
I thought it was white. Wasn't
was
there
black.
a white guitar somewhere in
Nope,
the mix?
it was black.
You had that white Telecaster for a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, I had the white Telecaster. So when we were over at Donnie's house, and he was like, "We want you to come be our guitarist." I was like, "That's cool, man. I don't have a guitar. Like, I don't own one, and I didn't really have money to go buy one either at that time."
Our lead
And-
guitarist doesn't have a guitar. He drops it off at the pawn shop on Monday.
Yeah, and I remember
Gets it at a Hawk on
I remember
Saturday.
Donnie looked at Sandy and he was like, "Take him to the store tomorrow and get him a guitar." I was like, "Dude, man, for real?" And they weren't like, "Go get
Budget
a
guitar.
piece of crap just so we can get you in there." They were like,
What
"Go
would you-
find you a nice guitar that
what would
you
you
would
like to
want to
play?"
play." And dude, that went a long way for me. Not because it was a monetary thing, but just that they believed in me enough.
They really wanted you here.
Yeah, I felt wanted.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we're at like 2.5 hours now. So,
But that was a cool addition, dude.
It
Like
was.
I liked
It
hearing
was.
those stories.
so
By the way, I got
yeah.
nothing to close with.
Thanks
So
for sharing that story.
yeah.
I have one last thing I'm going to say.
Okay.
It's like 30 seconds,
okay.
I promise.
All right.
All of this, none of it's about me. None of it's about Josh. None of it's about Rob. It's all for the glory of God.
Amen.
And because we're up here, yeah, we enjoy doing this, but we also get to share a little bit of God's word, a little bit of the gospel. And that's really why we're here, I would say. I mean, that's why I'm here. I love our fellowship.
Yep.
But another reason I love being here is that we get to share a little bit of that gospel to maybe somebody who's never heard it before. Maybe they like tech, but they've never heard about the gospel before.
Absolutely.
So that's what it all boils down to. All of this is fun. All of this is great. I love church. You get to learn so much in there. But it's all for God.
I think it's cool because, like we were talking about the commencement speech with Denzel Washington, where he drops in God, but it's a very natural and seamless addition because it's just there. Whereas people drop it in because it's a sound bite or it's a box to check mark, and it's very abrupt and it's a puzzle piece that you just kind of cram in there, and it doesn't come off very natural. If you sit and talk to us long term enough, other than like a 10 or 15 minute conversation, our faith will likely come up at some point as a natural addition to the conversation. And I don't mean that like a, hey, look at us, but that's just us talking about it is just a normal part of life. Like this is how we roll. That's where we're at. I'm thankful for it. Like all of this and all the opportunity and all of the what I would consider randomness, because if any three of us had the opportunity to write out what the next year would look like, we would be very wrong about how it's going to play out. And I'm very thankful that I'm wrong, because
Absolutely.
if I chose it, I would have missed out. I would miss out on this very moment, the way that I would have ran my life and made choices. So I'm thankful.
Absolutely. Well, I don't have a better closing than that, so I'm just going to say thank you guys for hanging with us tonight.
Episode 4.
Episode 4. Episode 5 will be in 2 weeks. It's going to be over Zoom for sure. It's for sure going to be over Zoom next time because I won't even be in the state.
I'm not flying to Arizona
So-
for podcasts.
So it will be over Zoom, but it'll still be live, and we'll make it work. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. So probably the same time. And thanks again for checking us out. And y'all have a good night.
Night.
Night. I guess this is my cue to go turn off the live.
Turn off the light.
Do's your job, Matt.
Turn off the light.
like a ghost now. I could talk off the camera. People could still hear me.
Something really awkward is probably gonna happen like before you turn it on.
Yeah, like the light over there is going to turn back on like it did the
That
one.
scared me.
That
Oh
was
yeah.
weird.
Okay, time to get out of here.